What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys checking in. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I thought I'd come on here, pop on, chop it up with you guys to start out this weekend. I know some of y'all maybe are starting out a 3-day weekend. Shout out to that, man. I got myself a 3-day weekend. Decided to come on here and chop it up with y'all, man. So we're going to let kind of people roll in. Jack, I see you in the building already, man. I appreciate you rocking with me. I thought I was going to come on here. We're going to talk a lot about college football championship, talk about our guy Fernando Mendoza, kind of go back and forth with y'all on that. Definitely some of the things that I want to talk about as it relates to that game and what I'm looking for. And so we're going to talk about the national championship. Want to touch a little bit on the games this weekend in the NFL, but we got hit with some news. We got hit with some news as it relates to our head coaching position, where we got 2 more names to add to the list. One name that a lot of people were talking about, a lot of people brought up as it relates to the offensive side of the football. But then we got another name that is within the family of a head coach that I personally want us to go after and bring in as the head coach. But apparently we want to bring in his brother as well to see just kind of what he's got to say and what he brings to the table. And so I'm going to give you my take on that. But we got two more head coaching candidates to talk about. I definitely want to chop it up with y'all. So I definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me. One thing I do need to set up is, and I apologize, I was getting ready for this, and this is the last thing that I had to do, but I definitely want to start it up real quick. Look, for some of y'all that always rock with me, you guys know that I do giveaways on my channel, and the one thing that I've been promising for last few months at least now is that when I hit 5,500 subscribers, that I was going to do a giveaway. And today, that's what we're doing. Today, we're going to do a giveaway. I hit 5,500 subscribers a couple weeks ago. I didn't have much of a chance to go do a solo live since then. And so I had the chance today. We're jumping on here. We're rocking out, enjoying a Friday. I'm about to pour myself the first drink of the weekend, share with y'all, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a giveaway. So let me set that up really quick. Just so that's rocking. Let's go. Bang. Okay, so as of right now, all you have to do is, as long as you put a comment in the chat, you're automatically entered into the giveaway. At the end of this live, I'm going to hit that draw button, and it's going to go ahead and spin it. And look, the only caveat that I have now to the giveaways, because I'm doing it this way. Previously, I would just post a video, and then based on whoever comments in that video, then I'd just pick a winner or draw for the winner. But since I've been doing a lot of lives lately, a lot of shorts, I've been wanting to do a giveaway this way. And the only caveat to doing it this way is we're just not going to do any back-to-back winners. Shout out to Chewy. He was a back-to-back winner one time. We're not going to do any back-to-back winners. All right, Daniel Kim, DK, Raider, you were the winner of the giveaway last time. I got that giveaway out to you. Shout out to you. This one, it just won't be back-to-back winners. All right? You could be a repeat, just can't be back-to-back. Hopefully that's fair for everybody. I hope everybody's cool with that. But I definitely want to just kind of spread the love, spread the appreciation across the board. So I appreciate everybody starting to kind of slowly rock in. I'm going to say what's up to the chat again. We're going to talk about the national championship. We're going to talk about Mendoza, the first pick. We're definitely going to talk about the 2 head coaching candidates that were just named this morning, and we're going to chop it up. So I appreciate everybody rocking up in here. Let's go. Let me see. I see Jack up in here. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking up in here. Again, I do a sub-only chat, so if you want to get included in the chat, hit that sub button. One, it's a way of me being able to show my appreciation to the subscribers. But at the same time, if you want to get included, definitely hit that sub button. What up, Dre? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here. Kevin Lurker, appreciate you as well. Shout out to you being a member. I appreciate that, man. Again, I do have memberships. Sometimes I'll do some member-only lives. I did one at the tailgate. I might start doing more just member-only lives like this, so I can kind of give you guys more opportunity to just kind of give the questions, and I can give you my feedback. But also, we're going to be breaking down game film of all the college prospects as well as free agents. And so that'll give you an opportunity to kind of throw out your suggestions. And if you got one, throw it out there. We'll put it up on the list and we'll kind of prioritize it. But you guys will definitely go to the top of the list. And so, again, If you want to be a member, that's one way that we can just show our appreciation. So, man, Kevin Lurker, I appreciate you being a member. Bart in the building. What's the deal? Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you, man. I appreciate you rocking with me. Yeah, what's going on, man? I appreciate you always popping in here. Good seeing you. Let's see. Alec, what's going on, man? Did Raiders interview Chris Shula yet? I don't know where he's at on the list, or at least on the schedule, so I don't know if they interviewed him just yet. But chat, let me know. Let me know if we have interviewed him already. The 805 in the building. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking up with me as well. John in the building as well. SpyTek was impressed with Clint Kubiak's Zoom call interview. That was his first time with SpyTek because Brady already did the interview last Friday. Both were impressed. It's up to Clint Kubiak's decision. So I haven't seen a report as to whether or not they were impressed. I'll be honest with you. I don't just dig for reports. So if there is a report out there that they were both impressed, I mean, that makes me happy, because the number one candidate in my mind for at least who I would want to see us bring in is Clint Kubiak. That's my number one at the top of the list for a lot of reasons, and we can kind of dive into that if we all want to. Again, we're going to talk about some head coaches here in the beginning, but that's definitely my top pick. But if there is a report that they're extremely impressed, then, man, that's I'll drink to that. I'm about to pour myself one here in just a second. So, man, I appreciate you popping up in here, Ja. We got Fixed It. I'm rolling with Fix It. What up, brother? Appreciate you rocking with me. Gabriel in the building as well from Springfield, Missouri. Appreciate you rocking with me, man. I got Memo in here as well. Appreciate you rocking with me. Appreciate you being a member. Raider Paul in the building. I saw your comment, Raider Paul, making fun of my push-ups. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate you rocking with me. Shout out to you. We got a Fish Dude in the building as well. What's going on, man? Let's see. We got Adam as well. Hitting that hashtag Raiders. I appreciate it. You said it's impossible for Mendoza to go back to college for one more year. Wouldn't that be a bunch of BS? So I know that I believe he's eligible, but I've mentioned this before, is that, and I mentioned this probably at least a month and a half ago, is it would be crazy if we snagged that number one overall draft pick and the quarterbacks that are supposed to come out and declare for this upcoming draft, they find out that we have the number one draft pick and they end up going back to college, because the NIL money, I think, kind of just plays a role in these college players just having another option. Now, in my opinion, I think it would be wild for you, especially Mendoza, being in the position that you are solidified as the number one quarterback in this draft. There's no one else in the conversation as being the number one quarterback. And we're going to do a deep dive into Mendoza. I did it last Sunday. Definitely a good back and forth with the chat. But I think it'd be wild if he did decide to go back. It doesn't make much sense. I know Indiana just brought in another quarterback, and so I think that they're preparing themselves for life after Mendoza. So, but I have thrown that out there. Guys like Dante Moore, he's already declared, or that he's already made the decision to go back. But at the same time, because he is young, I wouldn't be surprised if he did go back, given the fact that, man, the NIL money is up there for the taking. And some of these quarterbacks, if you're confident, you want to go back and you want to test the market to be that number one overall draft pick, then you kind of make that decision and you kind of bank on yourself. And it looks like that's what Dante Moore's doing. I think it was right for him to make that decision to go back. But again, with the NIL money, I think it just opens up that door. It opens up the quarterbacks to have options. Now, I do think Mendoza is going to declare. I know that he hasn't officially, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's officially declared. And so we'll kind of see how that rolls. But, man, I appreciate you rocking with me. Michael, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking as well. Leon, Riola, appreciate you. Appreciate you pulling through. No, let me make sure I pronounce it right. Leonia. Hopefully I pronounced it right. I appreciate you pulling up. Alec, what's up, man? Jason in the building as well, man. I see you. What's happening, man? My mouse is kind of messing up, so I might switch it up for you here in a second. But Jason, appreciate you rocking up in here, man. Good seeing you in the building. Raider Paul, I'm taking Kubiak or LaFleur. LaFleur is definitely on that list, but we're definitely going to talk about the two other names that just dropped earlier today. So we'll kind of see how that rocks out. Big John, what's going on? No. is better than. I think you're saying nobody is better than Pete Carroll, and I know. I think you were the one kind of. We were going back and forth a little bit. I think you're a big Pete Carroll fan, man. Shout out to you in the building. Daniel, what's going on? Good seeing you. Troy, what's happening, man? Rumors that Webb had a real good interview and Spytek was impressed. And it's good that he had a good interview. I think he's still young. I think he needs a lot more experience as it relates to just being a coach in the NFL in general. I know that a lot of people have been kind of high on his name just because of the pathway he's took, not just his play as a player, but also as a coach. And again, I do think some people think highly of him. But I'll kind of reiterate one more time is when you have a coach that has that much inexperience at the NFL level, I think it's best for them to, if they get their first job as a head coach, and I don't look at Webb being one of these. I don't know if Webb's going to get a head coaching job. It's good that he's going through the cycle and understanding the interview process. So I think that's definitely going to benefit him. But in addition to that, I think a young head coach that has very little experience. One guy I'll throw out there is like a Jesse Minter, right? Jesse Minter, he's kind of fresh in the NFL. He doesn't have very many years at all coaching in the NFL. His first job should be with a very, very well-versed, well-put-together front office. Like if he went to go with the Steelers, if he went to go with the Ravens, I think that would be a very good opportunity for a young up-and-comer that doesn't have a lot of experience, because you need a front office that's going to help him through the growing pains and the learning curve of being just a coach in general, let alone a head coach in the NFL. And so going to a well-oiled organization like that, I think will help a young head coach. So if a young head coach came over here, we have a second-year GM that is still learning how to be a GM. And so if they're learning how to be a GM, how are they truly going to be able to groom a head coach that doesn't have a lot of experience in the NFL? You know, we have markdavis that we know he's had a lot of missteps in the last 11 years or so being an owner. So I'd like to see, even though it would be a young head coach, again, my guy's Clint Kubiak. Clint Kubiak has extensive coaching experience in the NFL. He's been through multiple organizations. He understands how to work with the NFL players. So the learning curve is going to be much less for a guy like that. That is a first-time head coach. And so that's why, at least for me, I lean offensive-minded, but at the same time, I also lean I want a coach that has a lot of experience, that brings a lot of experience to the table just coaching in the NFL. And so yeah, Big John, you're advocating for Pete Carroll. I got you. Raider Paul. You said fucking DC hating on Mendoza. Here, I'll give you just kind of a glimpse as to what I'm going to say about Mendoza. Again, shout out to everybody in the building. There's 22 so far entered into the giveaway at the end of this live. If you want to get included, hit that sub button, get included in the chat. You're automatically entered into that giveaway, and I'll hit that draw button at the end, and it'll be my 16th, I believe, 16th or 17th giveaway since starting my channel in early 2023. Just my way of showing my appreciation, giving back. So, I don't know how people can hate on Mendoza as the player. You can maybe question things. I question some of the things that he brings to the table, like how is it going to transfer to the NFL? I do question some things. But if there's anybody out there that's just hating on Mendoza, or you just flat out don't think that he can make it in the NFL, I think that's the wrong assessment. I think what he shows on film, what he shows during the games, shows that he's got a good chance at being a successful NFL quarterback. You can have questions. I got questions. I have questions as to how well his game translates to the NFL. We'll dive into that. But anybody that's just purely hating on him as the player, I think that's a rough one. That's a rough one to deal with, to be honest with you. Yeah, only way is up. Yeah, it is. It is so far. Number 1 overall draft pick. Dre, you're saying just glad the Raiders get good news for once, especially since Moore decided to go back to school. I'm with you. You know what? Let me do something real quick. I think my I'm gonna do something real quick. My mouse is kind of dying on me. I got to back up here, so let me go ahead and do that right quick and just make sure that I'm good. Okay, all right, I'm back in business. All right, you always got to back up. Got to be prepared for the worst. I got to back up mouse, and now I'm back in business. King Alexander in the building. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you rocking. Adam, you got that hashtag Raiders. I like Vance Joseph just for the simple fact it's easier to build a defense which would complement the quarterback by getting him the ball back and not allowing points to be scored. Okay, we can touch on that for just a second. When it comes to defensive-minded head coach, the only concern I have with that is if we do have the number one and we go after a quarterback again, let's say it's Mendoza. The concern that I have is the revolving. If you find success, the revolving door of offensive coordinators and the multiple systems you're going to have to teach this young quarterback. If you find success and then your offensive coordinator is now in the running or finds themselves in that head coaching cycle, that's the part that I have a concern with. You see it happening right now. Dan Campbell, I've said it for the last at least year, is that Dan Campbell has found a lot of success and has turned around that Lions organization. But the question is when those offensive coordinators and his coordinators move on, that's going to be the test on how good Dan Campbell is. Can he bring somebody else in to run that offense? And can that offense not skip a beat, right? You might see a little bit of a slowdown, but you don't want to just completely take 10 steps backwards with that offense. And you see what happens. Dan Campbell had to take over the offensive coordinator play calling, and he fired his offensive coordinator, right? So he's struggling a little bit to try to find that. Look at Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni lost what's-his-face that went down to the Saints. And they just ended up firing their offensive coordinator. So the hard part about going defense is I agree with you, right? Building a defense is much easier. But at the same time, you hope that you're going to win through the defense and your offense might still be mediocre if you can't find, let's say, like an older offensive coordinator. An offensive coordinator, what's his face? Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel did it actually perfectly, right? He's not an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, but he went and got Josh McDaniels, right, which has proven to be a good offensive coordinator, but not a good head coach. And look, Josh McDaniels is not going to get another head coaching job. And so Mike Vrabel kind of did it perfectly where he locked in a good offensive coordinator, and he's going to have Josh McDaniels for probably however long he wants him. And as long as Josh McDaniels continues to be a high-caliber play caller, it's a perfect position. So that's why I would love to have an offensive-minded head coach so that we don't find ourselves with that revolving door. And to your point, a defense is a little bit easier to kind of piece together than an offense. And so it's less likely that you're gonna lose a defensive coordinator in a head coaching cycle, and you can find an older defensive coordinator that is very set in his role. And so he'll come in, he'll be your defense coordinator for the next 10 to 12 years before he either moves on or maybe has a chance at the head coaching cycle. But the likelihood that a defensive coordinator gets a head coaching job is much less than an offensive coordinator. And so it's like Steve Spagnuolo, over there with the Chiefs, and him being potentially in a head coaching cycle last year. I just definitely want to lean more offensive minded because I think you match up that offensive mind with that quarterback. And then if you find success with it, now you have that tandem for the next 12 to 15 years. And so, and I think a defensive coordinator is much easier to replace. So again, I'll say one more example. Look at Raheem Morris over with the Falcons. He had his first stint as the head coach over at the Falcons. I think it's going to take him probably a good 5 years of having a really good defense for him to kind of get back in that head coaching cycle. And it's not even guaranteed that he's going to be a top candidate in that cycle just because he's a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive-minded head coach. So I think you can find good D coordinators and kind of have a good chance of keeping them. So, sorry. Again, sometimes my answers can be very long-winded. I apologize, but I can talk on a lot of subjects for quite a while. Dominic, what's going on, man? Appreciate you rocking with here. Alec, you're saying news is Steelers is very interested in Shula and Flores. I would not be surprised. I actually think Brian Flores would be great. I think both Jesse Minter and Brian Flores would be great candidates for both the Steelers and Ravens job. Again, I think Brian Flores, because of his history with the Steelers, he might go back. They might like him. And, the Steelers, they just God, what is it going to be? Their fourth coach since in the last, I don't know, 40 plus years. It's something crazy. So I do think Jesse Minter or Brian Flores would be a great fit over there with the Ravens or the Steelers. So we'll see. Adam with another hashtag Raiders. Appreciate it. He said, plus Vance Josephs knows our division and what it takes to win our division. He does know it. Not going to lie. Obviously, he knows Sean Payton over there. So, again, but it's just I'd much rather lean offensive-minded. Big John, Mendoza isn't ready for the NFL this year. So we're going to talk on that. We are going to talk on that for sure. Definitely stick around. I'm sure it's going to be a fun and animated conversation. It's going to be all right. So, damn. AI says he doesn't declare. I hate robots. I don't think he's declared just yet. I think you're talking about Mendoza. So we'll see how it works. Again, do me a favor, guys, as the number goes. Right now, we have over 70 in the chat. If you're over at Twitter, jump over to YouTube, get involved in the conversation. I don't see the chat in Twitter. So if you're over there, jump over to YouTube. But definitely got over 70 so far. Do me a favor, double tap the screen. It hits the like button. If you want to get included in the chat, hit the sub button. We have 32 so far entered in the giveaway drawing at the end of this. So stick around. We'll hit that draw button. We'll have a little bit of fun. But hit that hashtag Raiders if you have a comment or something based on the topic that we're talking about. It just allows me to see it better. Gabriel in the building, what's going on, man? I don't want another Jamarcus Russell. I don't think any of us want another Jamarcus Russell. But the one thing I will say about that, and I haven't heard a lot of people say it, and shout out to everybody. We're going to have our first drink of the weekend. Let's have a little bit of fun. Cheers, everybody. I don't want anybody to kind of have that PTSD, right? It's a different era. It's a different organization. It's different people running the ship, different guys at the top evaluating the talent. I think a lot of people have said in the past, the last 2 years, I wanted Talisi Fuaga 2 years ago. I wanted Kelvin Banks or Petecarroll McMillan. Those are my two top guys. All right, 2 years ago, and look, I know a lot of people on a lot of my takes, a lot of people aren't a fan of it, but what I love about doing this YouTube thing, and I started in 2023, week 3 of the 2023 season, is a lot of people aren't a fan of my takes, but history tells me, now I got the history to go back to it, is that my takes, they actually become true. I take the 80-20 rule, 80% I'm right, 20% I'm wrong. If I'm right 80% of the time, then I'm at least doing something right. There's a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces that can affect whether or not your take is correct. But 2 years ago, sitting at the number, I think we had the number 13 spot. I wanted Talisi Fuaga or Bo Nix. I think it was between Bo Nix or Michael Penix. I wanted Bo Nix. I posted close to a 30-minute video as to why I preferred Bo Nix over Michael Penix. Now, again, it wasn't to say that Bo Nix was going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I thought he possessed a lot of tools to be a good quarterback in the National Football League. And look, I think he's a good quarterback. I think there's a lot of things that are helping him. That defense is doing extremely well. Sean Payton, obviously being a good play caller. The running game is doing really well. So, again, it's about Bo Nix just being a good quarterback in the National Football League, and I think that's what he is. He's a good quarterback. People say he's trash. I don't think there's any world that you can say Bo Nix is trash, given the fact of what he's done. You can say that he's gotten a lot of help, but guess what? Every quarterback in the National Football League needs help. You need weapons. You need a good defense. You need a good offensive play caller. There's a lot of pieces that help the quarterback find success. And a lot of those are in the hands of the quarterback. But I like Talisi Fuaga. A lot of people like J.C. Latham. I was a Talisi Fuaga fan. But I also like Bo Nix. This past draft, I wanted Kelvin Banks to kind of solidify that offensive line, or I would have went Petecarroll McMillan. My take was a lot of people like Shedeur Sanders. And I just didn't have a first-round grade on Shedeur Sanders. I did not want Shedeur Sanders at number 6. I had a third-round grade on him. So if he fell to the third round, that's when I would start to consider taking him. When he was available in the 4th round, I thought it was actually pretty wild we didn't take a shot at Shedeur Sanders at number 4. In the 4th round. I thought that was wild. We didn't take a shot at him. We needed somebody to build. We needed someone to potentially develop, and having that type of player in the 4th round with at least enough upside to develop. And if it didn't work out, no one's going to judge you on a fourth round pick. So for us not pulling the trigger on Shedeur didn't make much sense. But the amount of people that gave me shit that I didn't think Shedeur Sanders was a first round grade, they gave me a lot of shit. Well, guess what? He dropped to the 5th. Now, I think it was crazy he dropped to the 5th. I think the NFL had something to do with him dropping that far, but I had more of a 3rd round grade. And so I say all that to basically state that don't take our past that happened so long ago and affect your decision of what we do today. That's all that I say all that to basically sum that up. So again, I apologize. Long-winded. Shout out to everybody. Happy Friday. Toby in the building. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you. Mark, again, I would love to hire Kubiak and drop Mendoza and get Indiana OC to be the Raiders' new offensive coordinator. He'll know the offense well. And I know there's there's a lot of history with the Indiana offensive coordinator. And so, look, if you want to bring somebody up from the college ranks to be an offensive coordinator under a head coach that is an offensive-minded head coach that you know is going to be calling the plays, I'm okay with that. I would much prefer somebody in the NFL with a young quarterback. So, again, I apologize. I know people are kind of chatting away, and once I see a comment, me doing my solo lives, I like to kind of have that one-on-one with you guys. I go live on Wednesdays and Sundays in the Raider War Room with my guys, and so this is my opportunity to kind of give you guys my one-on-one. If you do draft a young quarterback, I don't necessarily would want to bring somebody that has really no NFL coaching experience, and I don't know if the Indiana OC has NFL coaching experience. I know he has ties to some names in the NFL, but I don't know if he has NFL coaching experience. You want to have as much experience with a young quarterback. You want to have as much experience surrounding that young quarterback to give him the best chance of success. So I'd love to see us bring in someone that has NFL experience as an offensive coordinator, as a quarterback coach, to teach this kid the ropes of the NFL. Because as much as Mendoza puts a lot of good things on tape, go back in the history of all the last, 15 to 20 either first round quarterbacks, first pick overall, or Heisman winning quarterbacks. Go look at all those quarterbacks and you tell me how many found a ton of success in the NFL. I believe the last 19 Heisman winning quarterbacks, 2 of them have gone to a Super Bowl. And none of them have won it. So history tells us that just because you look good on paper in college and you got that trophy doesn't automatically mean that translates to the NFL. And so it's okay to have questions as to whether or not Mendoza is going to be worth that number 1 overall pick. Because that's the question. It's not whether or not he's going to be good in the NFL. It's, is he worth the number 1 overall? Because the value of that number 1 overall means that you're going to come in and you have all the skill set in the world to potentially win us not 1, but multiple Super Bowls. Like, you want them to be that generational talent that's going to win you multiple Super Bowls. So, again, I want to bring in a coaching staff that is going to be best suited to develop this kid. And I think bringing somebody from the college ranks that doesn't have NFL experience doesn't necessarily help him too much. I'd much rather surround him with a bunch of people that have experience in the NFL that know how to develop him correctly. So that's my only feedback as it relates to a offensive coordinator straight from the college ranks to help develop a young quarterback. And again, let me know if you hit that hashtag Raiders. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I definitely love the back and forth. Alex, you said, I think Derek Carr was more questioning if the Raiders can fix the O-line quickly. He doesn't think so. Yes. So I saw that clip, and 100%, it's not Derek Carr questioning Dante Moore's ability to play quarterback, right? It's him just questioning, are we going to be able to do the things to support a young quarterback? And here's my take on this, and I've said this for a little bit now. I'm a massive advocate, and I've said this since the day I've started this YouTube thing, is I prefer you sit a quarterback for an entire first season. I want him to sit for the entire first season. The only way that you maybe get him in that first season is maybe the last 2, maybe 3 games, just to get his feet wet. If you're, maybe you're a 4-win team or a 5-win team, and those last few games don't really matter, and you just want to get him some game time experience just so he can carry that development and understand what he needs to grow on in that next off season, I'm okay with that. but I want to sit a quarterback the entire first season. I'm cool with short-term pain for long-term gain. That's the way I look at it. I want that I don't care if that rookie quarterback, the number one overall draft pick, I don't care if he's good that first year. I could care less if I see him that first year. I want him to have the proper development so that I see him for the next 15 winning us some Super Bowls. So if that makes sense. So if you sit him the first year, that means that you can build the offensive line, this upcoming free agency, this upcoming draft, and you could take the next free agency, the next draft to continue to build the foundation and the weapons around him. And so just because we don't have the pieces today is not going to move me off of a quarterback. What's going to move me off of a quarterback is to whether or not he's the right person or he's the right choice. And so that's the only thing that would move me off of a quarterback, not whether or not we have the weapons today. Because I think you can have 2 off seasons to build around it and prepare the foundation for potentially year 2. If you start a quarterback right away, you just run the risk. I'm not saying that you just completely kill a quarterback's confidence or you kill his future by starting him year 1. I just think that you run a risk of potentially not developing the quarterback properly. But again, the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of teams that do that. A lot of teams, they will start a quarterback year 1, and there's a reason why there's consistently. You can look at the last 20 years. The last 20 years, you can count on one hand through the last couple generations how many quarterbacks are consistently good in the NFL. You look at back in the early 2000s, you had the Bradys, the Peyton Mannings, the Drew Breeses. I'm sure there's a couple more names. But those were the guys that were consistently good every single year. But then you kind of had the one-offs that were good maybe 1-2 years and they fall off. Right? It's because it's not easy to play quarterback in the National Football League. You also have a lot of organizations that don't develop quarterbacks well. And so, you can still build it. Just because we don't have the pieces today isn't going to completely move me off of a quarterback picking him this year. What will move me off that quarterback is whether or not I think he's the right guy. I did see that Derek Carr just feedback on Mendoza, but I think a lot of people kind of with their thumbnails and stuff like that kind of made it out like Derek Carr didn't want him, and so that's welcome to the content creator game. But if you understand exactly what he was saying, I think it was more that he just didn't think we were prepared for him. So. Troy, we see what Mendoza is made of when taken on defense. I think you're saying we will see what Mendoza is made of when taking on defense of Miami. It does good when take him, if not trade down, more picks. Okay, sorry, I looked a little jumbled to me, but I think I know what you're saying. So you're saying if he doesn't look good, then maybe consider trading back. But definitely this is going to be a good test for him. It's going to be another good test. I have some stats that I'm going to bring up when it comes to Mendoza, but yeah. It's going to be just another really good test for him on a big stage, which is really good to see. There's definitely going to be things that I'm going to point out that I'm going to be watching for. Bart, you like Mendoza and Surratt. I think that's a lot of people like it. 7 Sons. Campbell has a losing record without Ben Johnson. I think you're saying. Are you saying Caleb Williams? Campbell has a losing record without Ben Johnson as his offensive coordinator. I think you're saying Caleb Williams, maybe. Jason Downs. Chris Shula is the only defensive coach I know that could nature a young QB and put people in place to be successful. All right. And look, the one thing that's great about Chris Shula is he's got a lot of experience in the NFL. I started kind of doing my research with him, and he's got substantial experience. I didn't know. He looks young, so I just kind of assumed he didn't, but he's definitely got a lot of good experience. Kevin Lurker. Stillhouse is a great name. I've been doing a little bit more research on him. It is a good name for sure. Bart dropped O-line and D-line and free agency. I think that's definitely a priority. Definitely a priority. Keys, what's going on, man? That's not what Carr said. I think you might be talking about the I don't know if you're talking to me. Hit that hashtag Raiders if you're talking to me, guys. Appreciate it. Megalodon in the building. What's going on, man? Josh McDaniels is cheating again. I would bet $1 to a donut. We'll see how this game works this week. It'll be interesting. Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. Exactly. All right, I'm with you. What up, LS? What's going on, brother? You're saying hire an offensive head coach is purely common sense when you plan to take a QB with the number one, with pick one in the draft, which is why I fully expect the Raiders to hire a defense guy. I'm with you. Whatever you don't want the Raiders to do, they end up doing it. I'm with you. That has been, I think, the mass majority of our life. That has been a lot of what I have gone through as well, man. There's a lot that I want to see the Raiders do, and they do a 180 on me. And so, Adam, hashtag Raiders, don't forget all the years. We had Derek Carr. We had offensive-minded coaches except for Jack Del Rio. And who was the winner? Jack Del Rio. It did work out well. It did work out well. And so it's, again, I think a lot of us, it's not saying that it can't happen or you can't find success with it. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you just see a lot more examples of when non-offensive minded head coaches have a revolving door at their DC job or, at the offensive coordinator job. And it hurts them in the long run. It hurts the development of the quarterback. So there's definitely examples where it works. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's more examples as it stands right now, just offensive minded head coaches just kind of having sustained success in the NFL. LS74 watching, only 21 likes, double tap that screen. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, do me a favor, double tap again. As long as you put a comment in the chat, I'm doing a giveaway. I hit 5,500 subscribers. One way I can show my appreciation. Lucky in the building, what's going on? You got TN in the building as well. Robert Sada as head coach, Kubiak as OC. Oh, yeah, I think you're saying K, Kubiak. We're going to talk about that head coach here in just a second. If we get Kubiak, it'd be a positive sign for Mendoza in terms of development. I do agree, right? We get Mendoza number one. You got to give him it's like Genty. And I got an interesting take on Genty too, and I might hit you guys with that before we get into head coaching news. But yeah, you picked Mendoza number one. You are building around Mendoza. It might be a little bit of sneak peek of what, or a little teaser of what I'm going to talk about. But you picked Mendoza number one. You are now building around Mendoza. What does that look like for all the other positions on our team? So we might talk about that. And so, Gabriel, if we get Mendoza, then we better win the Super Bowl next season. I'm going to say this. No, do not have that expectation. Don't. Look at the history, right? You need to develop a quarterback the right way. You throw him in and have that expectation. It's just the wrong thing to do, right? Again, short-term pain, long-term gain. You're going to have to develop this quarterback for the next couple of years, and in hopes by year 3 or 4, you're trying to make that push. You're trying to make that hard push. Because if you do, and you build it the right way, you build this thing through the draft, you continue to give him the pieces that you need, the hope is that you make that push and maybe you win a Super Bowl by year 3, possibly 4, and then you keep winning, or you keep sniffing that Super Bowl for years to come. So I have zero expectation that first year, and here's one of the reasons why, is because you want to continue to build through the draft. If you are picking number one, that means you're a bad team. If you're picking number one in the draft, that means you're a bad team and you have a lot of needs at a lot of positions. So you can't completely flip this thing around in 1 year. And so that second year, if you pick Mendoza number one, that second year, you might only have 3, 4, maybe 5 wins. And that's okay, because it's a developmental process. You're building the foundation. And what that means is you have a high pick in that next draft. And so you can continue to build the foundation and pieces in that very next draft. And so you can have back-to-back drafts with high draft picks. I'm a firm believer you build sustained success through the draft. If you want instant success and you want temporary success, then you build through free agency. Because what's going to happen is after the next 2, possibly 3 years, now contract talks happen, and now you're going to have to offload a bunch of guys. And if you didn't build through the draft, then you have no developmental pieces. You're going to run out of salary cap, and you're going to find yourself in a shithole when it comes to salary cap space. So you have to build through the draft. That's why you have a number one draft pick this year. You might win 4 games, maybe 5 the following year, and you have another high draft pick to help build around that quarterback that you want to have sustained success for the next 12 to 15 years. So I'm okay if we don't win a Super Bowl. I'm okay if we're 5 wins this next season. We got to do it the right way, and we have to develop it the right way. Short-term pain, long-term gain. What up, Coach? And again, Gabriel, let me know if you agree or disagree. Hit the hashtag Raiders. What's happening, man? I can't wait to see Steelers run through 10 coaches in 15 years. We'll see. We'll see. Their track record is much better than the rest. So, lucky hiring Saleh is like is a rehire Josh McDaniels all over again. I wouldn't put that on him. All right, Josh McDaniels, I think that's a rough one, right? I mean, you have two examples now. You can kind of question what he did with the Indianapolis Colts and kind of bailing on them last second. So you have a very, very good history to determine that Josh McDaniels probably just isn't a good head coach, right? Robert Saleh, he went to the Jets. The Jets are a bad organization. The Jets just don't give anybody a good chance, and so I wouldn't put that on Robert Saleh. I'm not going to compare him to that. That's just my take. Jason, what's going on? Knowing the division is different than being a good head coach. I think you responded before. Moval, what's going on? Appreciate you, man. Big John, I'm sorry. I see Mendoza ended up being like Jamarcus Russell. I just seen it happen. I don't think he'll be as bad as Jamarcus Russell, but there's definitely some question marks on just how his game translates to the NFL. We'll talk about it towards the tail end. But I think calling him Jamarcus Russell is a stretch. He has many, many, many more traits that are much more exciting. Mendoza is a very, very good quarterback prospect. He's extremely good, but there's just some things that I have questions on. It's not things that I can sit here and say what he can't do. You're not going to hear me say that he can't do this, he can't do that. There are other prospects in the past that I've basically said, look, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Mendoza is different. You're not going to hear me say I don't think he can do it, or you're not going to hear me say he can't do it. I just have questions on whether or not he's going to be able to do it at the next level because the lack of opportunity that he had to showcase it in college. Because that Indiana team is just so good across the board that he wasn't forced to do a lot of things that you want to see him do consistently in the NFL. Because the NFL defenses are very different. It's not going to be that easy. I don't care if you're Josh Allen. It's not going to be that easy. But we'll get deeper into it. My bad. I'm derailing. My fault. But yeah, I will. There's no world where I think you compare Jamarcus Russell to Mendoza. But Jason, the more I hear about Mendoza not being the right person, the more I would be fine with passing on him. Not going to dwell on it. Yeah, we'll talk about it more. What up, Jeff? What's going on, brother? Hey, guys, go make sure you guys hit up Jason's channel. Raiders First Downs. They go live, I believe, on Tuesdays. Definitely go tap in with them. Definitely tapping with Jeff as well. Shout out to Jeff, man. And later tonight, Jeff's got a show for all all fans in general. Definitely tap out his new Friday show. Tap into that. Appreciate you. Jason, I want to he reminded me of Mike Evans. Look, that was my comparison. I think he was a more athletic Mike Evans. I think that's the way I compared him. A more athletic Mike Evans, which could be dangerous. But again, just like Mendoza, as much as I think Tedderell McMillan, T-Mac, has all the ability in the world to be a top 5 receiver in the National Football League, there's things that he needs to work on. Being 6'5", and as fast as he is, I think his natural ability allowed him to be really good in college. But again, college is very different than the NFL. So as much as I really like T-Mac, and I thought he could have been that number 6 overall pick for a lot of reasons, there's also things that he needed to crisp up on. I think the difference between him being a number 10 receiver in the National Football League and him being top 3, he's got to crisp up his route running. I think he needs this to be a little bit better route runner because I think his speed and size allowed him to get away with that in college. He's got to crisp it up in the National Football League because, again, the NFL ain't college. It's a night and day difference. And so we'll see if he improves. But, man, it's great to see him be top of the list of the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, but, yes, that was my number 1. Outside that, it was Kelvin Banks to help out this offensive line. So, Jeff, you guys going back. Lucky fans talking about trading the first round pick. For what, though? We have not learned from the Mac trade. These picks don't pan out in the future. Okay, Lucky, again, I'll just kind of say in the past, I'm not taking what we did in the past and assuming that that's what it works out here, right? You can't be afraid to make a move just because of what we did in the past. Because different regimes, as much as I'm not a fan of the picks that Spytek made, I love the fact that he maneuvered around the draft. He got us more draft capital. So I do like the way that he maneuvered the draft, and I like that he addressed our needs. I just didn't like the players that he picked to address the needs. I just didn't like the way he went about it. But I'm not going to deter that or take that, or especially the Max stuff and what Gruden did and all that. I'm not taking that in consideration based on what I want to do today, because that's the past, different organization, different regime, different people riding that ship. So, but again, I wasn't a fan of on the players that SpyTek took. So, but I'm more looking at Mendoza as the player as to whether or not I want to take him out one, or do I want to trade back. So we'll get more into it. And so, all right, let's see. Coach Santa, it's all right. Bill's going to get those boys out the playoffs like last year. We'll see what happens. One Reels, what's going on, man? If I can guarantee Mendoza won't be another, yeah, like that's a hard comparison. I'm with you. I'm with you. Lucky, no shade to Bowers, but I take Fuaga over him. And look, I think that's it's a good point. Like I'd never hated Bowers as the player. I hated Bowers picking him because it's not what we need. It's not how you build the foundation. Bowers is going to be a damn good, if not the best tight end in the National Football League for probably quite a while outside of injury, right? But look at where we're at. We had what, 4 wins last year and then 3 wins this year. That's what Bowers and Genty's got us so far. Can they be a piece to the overall puzzle? Of course they can. But I'll tell you right now, this is why you don't necessarily go that route at times, is because we got Bowers. Next year is going to be it's going to be his 3rd year. Next year is going to be his 3rd year. If we pick Mendoza and it takes him 2 to 3 years to develop and then get to where we want to be, Brock Bowers may not be on this team by the time Mendoza hits his peak, by the time Mendoza now gets us to a place where we're competitive and fighting for a Super Bowl, because he may not accept that 5th-year option. So Brock Bowers may not even be here. He might be over it and says, hey, look, I don't want to be here. I'm going on. And now we wasted that 1st-round draft pick. Now we wasted that talent because we just couldn't bring the pieces together. We couldn't have the foundation to make it right. So who knows if Brock Bowers is going to be here if we pick Mendoza number 1 and it takes him 3, maybe 4 years to hit his peak, and now we're competing. That's why I wasn't a fan of the pick. I'm not a fan of it's not that I wasn't a fan of the player. It's just, could we make all the pieces work? And it kind of talks about Genty as well. So we'll talk about that. Let's go Sevens. Anyone saying Nix's tracks doesn't know what they're talking about, and they're probably just hating because they didn't like him as a person. I think a lot of people probably just work that way with it. So I agree. But yeah, you could question whether or not he's a top tier quarterback. That's fine. We could definitely have that talk, and there's definitely quite a lot of question marks. But to say he's trash is, I think that's Coach Bo Nix is trash. And look, can't say it, man. I don't, whatever way you look at it, he's not trash. You can say he's not a top quarterback. That's perfectly fine. But to say that's you could look at statistics, I guess. Go look at statistics, right? I think he's top 10 in all the statistics you want a good quarterback to be in. So to say he's trash, I think people are just hating at that point. Like you're saying, some people were highly overvaluing Shedeur at the time. They were 100%. And I caution people overvaluing Mendoza. I said this on my last live. Is I learned from the past, and all you have to do is look at the past. It's not that you can value a guy like Mendoza. He does a lot of things at a very, very elite level. He's great at a lot of things. But be very careful at overvaluing a quarterback, because the transition to the college NFL is night and day. And I learned that ever since the Matt Leinart situation. People thought Matt Leinart was an automatic Carson Palmer, right? Carson Palmer was a good quarterback in the National Football League, but they thought automatic. They already crowning him. They thought Matt Leinart was going to walk in and he was going to automatically start winning Super Bowls. It just doesn't work that way because it's different. And so it's okay to question whether or not a player, what you see on film, fully translates to the NFL. But I also know in the same breath, there's a lot of things that restrict a quarterback from being good that's outside of their control. Again, I give the example. If Tom Brady were to be drafted to the Cleveland Browns, he probably wouldn't be Tom Brady today. Why? Because the Cleveland Browns wouldn't have given him the foundation to be good. So it happens to quarterbacks. So again, be very. I am at least very cautious with overvaluing quarterbacks based on what I see on film. You got to see how it translates to the NFL. Let's see, Francis Sith, what's going on? And yes, I do think people overvalued Shedeur for so many reasons. I had a lot of reasons why he was good. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of reasons why he showed a lot of upside. But then I had probably 7 or 8 bullet points as to why there was a lot that he needed to work on, and that there was things that he lacked that I think he would struggle in the NFL. And that's why I had a 3rd round grade on him. And the amount of shit that I got for it in the chat, a lot of things that I've gotten shit for that has worked out, that I have been able to prove that, yes, I'm right. And so just be careful. Just be careful with it. Space Beast, what's going on, man? What is happening? Coach Nix is just like Herbert. Let's see. I just want to kind of get to, before we get to the first topics, just want to say what's up to everybody. Jason, Nix is good with Peyton's system. Not as good as Bears, not as good as Breeze, but he's good enough to win games. Yes, and it's in order for a quarterback to be good, everything has to work. Everything has to piece itself together. It's not just the quarterback, right? It's all the pieces around it, right? Anytime you see a good quarterback, you have yourself a good play caller. So it's got to be a good combination. It's not just one piece of the puzzle. And so, 100% that Sean Payton also is a good piece of Bo Nix's success over there. Francis is Sith. You guys are wild. I love it though. Love it too. Love it though. Shout out to y'all. Let's see. Just want to make sure, kind of get to everybody. Slam, Sam, what's going on? Mendoza in the first, Surratt in the second. Yeah, guys, let me know where you think Surratt's value is at. Because again, I'm not going to start doing deep dives into other player positions probably in the next week or so. But let me know where you guys got Surratt. I think a lot of people are saying maybe second round. So let me know. Let me know where you think he's at. Lucky college coaches don't pan out in the NFL level. Lot don't, especially if you get thrown into a head coaching position, type like that. And also know, guys, I could say in numerous ways why a quarterback doesn't always translate well to the NFL is because the quarterback game is very different. Offensive coaches in college call the game very differently than the NFL. It's a different game. That's why you see sometimes analysts say, that's a pro-style system, right? Well, even with it being a pro-style system, the biggest difference from college to pros, and it's probably the most simplest way that I could put it, is the hash marks. The hash marks play a massive role. In college, they're much wider. In the pros, they're much more narrow. And offensive coordinators at the college level, they play that game. So one really quick example is that, when you have wider hash marks, then your throw, if the ball is on one hash mark and you're throwing to the boundary, which is the short side, look, that ball's going to get to the receiver much quicker. Whereas in the pros, it's going to take much longer to get there. And sometimes quarterbacks they don't understand that timing well. And that's when pick sixes happen. That's when corners are able to jump on the ball much easier and much quicker. And they just don't realize that that's going to happen. Also, if you're on one hash and you're throwing to the boundary, that means the distance and separation between the corner and the safeties and the overhang, the outside linebackers, the natural distance between those defenders increase. And so you have better passing lanes in the seams, as well as you don't have to worry about the safety getting there over there as quickly. You also, sometimes safeties will shade to the field side, which is the wide side, which means that if you try to go boundary side, now that safety is going to take much longer to get there. When the hash marks are more narrow, that means that the gaps, the natural spacing between the defenses is much more narrow, and now defenders can jump on passes much quicker. And a lot of times, college quarterbacks don't expect it. They have a hard time being able to adjust to that. And so That's the one way that I can describe why the college game is much more different in the way that college offensive coordinators call the game than what you see in the pros and what is expected of a quarterback in the pros is just look at the hash marks and the spacing of the defense. That's a big thing to look at. And sometimes, again, quarterbacks just can't make that transition because the timing is much different. Again, one of many, but that's definitely one example of it. Rick in the building, what's going on, man? All right. So again, I apologize. I probably talk way too much, but I definitely want to say what's up to everybody. I appreciate everybody rocking with me. We're going to talk about some of these head coaches. What up, Rick? What up, Mike Lopez in the building? What's going on, man? Like you said, the only thing is, do you see Kubiak taking the Raiders job? Okay, you're saying yes. It's one thing for us to interview him. Would he take this job? I don't know. I've said it before. This isn't outside of prior to us getting the number 1 overall draft pick, outside of us having salary cap, this is not the most attractive job in the world. And you can base off of our history. We have been a revolving door for head coaches. And what head coach is going to say, man, I'm going to bank my first job, potential first job, if you want a young, offensive minded or defensive minded head coach getting his first opportunity. What coach is going to bank their first head coaching job in the Raiders organization that has been that seems like they've just kind of treated their head coaches like crap and not given them the opportunity, right? Not very good. That's number one. Number two, you're not going to have a home field advantage. You're going to coach in a stadium that is not going to have a home field advantage. You're not going to have the support of the city. You can go to the Steelers. And if you went to the Steelers, you know that you're going to instantly have the backing of that entire city. Probably the entire state. Whereas if you come here, the city of Vegas don't like the Raiders organization. None of them do. I live in the Vegas area. And so there's a lot of reasons why this isn't a good spot for a head coach. But getting the number 1 makes it that much more attractive. It really does. And so that was definitely a good thing. So will Kubiak take this job knowing that we got the number 1 overall draft pick? Hopefully that sways him. Hopefully it does. What up, Red Away? What's going on, man? Appreciate you popping in here. Again, guys, do me a huge favor. Hit the hashtag Raiders if you have a response or something to what I'm talking about. Adam, you're saying, how does Brian Shaw? How about Brian Shaw? Nobody's talking about him. Again, just another college guy. I don't know. I think he's been out of college long enough to where I don't think anybody's going to give him a shot. I think the only chance he maybe gets a shot is coming in and being on one side of the ball. And I wouldn't even say offense coordinator or defense coordinator. I'm thinking he's going to be basically, you could bring him in as an assistant coach of some sort. But I think he's been so far removed from the coaching scene, even at the college level, I don't think he has a chance at an NFL job. I don't think. LS, the Raiders' 2016 success had little to do with Jack Del Rio and everything to do with the fact that we had $100 million invested in the O-line. And that's just a very good example of you build through the O-line. You build the foundation. I've been a massive proponent. That's why I wanted Talisi Fuaga 2 years ago. I wanted Kelvin Banks this year. Again, the only reason why I would go T-Mac is because if you're going to be picking in the top of the first round, number 1 to number 10 in the top of the first round, there's 5 positions that I target. And it's because those 5 positions demand the most salary cap. If you can get a guy that's a top 5 at his position, and that's what you expect. You pick somebody. If you pick somebody in the top 10, you're hoping that they're the top 5 in their position, and you can get them on a rookie contract. But quarterback, number 1 receiver, offensive tackle, edge rusher, and number 1 corner. Those are the 5 positions that demand the highest salary cap. If you can get somebody top 5 in their position, go look at what the top 10 draft picks are getting paid today versus what the top 5 in their positions getting paid. And that's a massive gap when you look at those top 5 positions. And again, just another reason why I'm not a big fan of going running back that's early on, because Genty right now is the 7th highest paid. I'll give you a quick example. Genty is the 7th highest paid running back in the National Football League. He also is the 2nd highest paid running back as it relates to guaranteed money. Tedorow McMillan, I think, is like the 22nd highest paid receiver. So that's a massive gap. If you want to go get the number one receiver or the top three receiver, that's a massive salary gap that you have to invest in if you want to get it through free agency. But T-Mac, you can get on a rookie contract with the fifth year option. Better business sense, in my opinion. And then that allows you to build in the offensive line. Daffy Duck could have thrown for 3,500 yards on that O-line. What up, Judo Joe? What's going on, man? Appreciate you. I see you, Dixon. What's happening, man? Jamarcus Russell, pass the crap pipe. What up, House Junkies in the building? Appreciate everybody. If you guys have just kind of rocked up in here in just a little bit. Wardlow in the building as well. What's going on? Rolling Dubs. What's happening, man? No one understands the game and fandom are two different things. Please have some of both. If you believe we are anywhere near a championship, I see which way you're leaning. Yes. It's a very good example of, yes, knowing and understanding is very different. Even watching film, you can see people that say, I watched the game. I watched the game film. There's a very big difference between watching it and knowing and understanding what you're watching. How to digest it, how to understand, when you see a good throw, why did that good throw happen? Some people, mass majority, and it's no knock on them, right? It's just me being able to take the many of years that I coached and played this game. So I just see it in a different way. But yes, there's a very big difference of watching the film, but at the same time, knowing and understanding what you're watching and being able to digest it properly. James in the building. What's going on, man? I said, I hope they keep the pick and not give the pick up for other picks. We need this so bad. And I know a lot of people lean that way. Just one thing, just to keep in mind, I think the top part is I know we're desperate for a quarterback, but don't let that desperation just kind of cloud whether or not there are some deficiencies or question marks of Mendoza, right? It's okay if you like Mendoza. I do like Mendoza, you know what I'm saying? But it's not gonna cloud my judgment as to whether or not I think he's worth that number one, and he is that guy. But we are desperate for a quarterback. I'm not gonna lie. And trust me, I don't want to not to pick a quarterback. I would much rather see us pick a quarterback, given the fact that if you don't pick a quarterback, it's going to delay the process of finding that quarterback. And I don't want to do it, but I'm not going to let that kind of cloud my judgment based on what I see on film. And so we'll get more into it. Let's see. Okay, just again, hit that hashtag Raiders if you guys got something. I definitely want to bring it up. I definitely want to say what's up. Again, my opportunity to kind of do that one-on-one with y'all, man. So I definitely appreciate everybody rocking with me. We're going to get into probably the first topic because, man, I am right now about 10 minutes behind the chat. I know a lot of people are kind of going back and forth. Okay, so you got Surratt third round. It looks like you got Surratt third round, fourth round. Okay, a lot of people are saying third round. Hummer, you got, what up, man? You got Surratt bottom of the first. Bottom of the first round, or it sounds like into the second. Okay. James very hyped for this year. Look, hey, if any of y'all are in, real quick, if any of y'all are going to be going to Pittsburgh for the draft, we're myself in the Raider War Room, Severe and Chris, we're putting the planning together. Let me know in the chat if you're going to be in Pittsburgh. We'd love to put names and faces, meet up with everybody. But we're going to rock out, be there for Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday and Saturday. It's going to be fun. What up, Rick? What's going on? Not for sure if I said what's up to you. If Purdy and Nix can be successful, then so can Mendoza. Purdy and Nix, I don't want to say Mendoza hasn't shown enough of a certain trait that I see out of Purdy. Like Purdy is a perfect example of a quarterback that has the mobility that you like in a quarterback. Purdy's a great example of he can extend the play. He's not a runner. He's not, you're not going to be a threat. You're not going to, as a defense, be like, oh crap, he's going to run on me. But Purdy does a very good job of navigating the pocket. His pocket presence is outstanding. Him being able to kind of extend the play is outstanding. I love what he shows with that. It's a great example of a quarterback just having that trait. Bo Nix, he can take off and run himself. Again, it's hard for me to just automatically say Bo Nix can be, or I'm sorry, Mendoza can all of a sudden be those guys. Right? There's a lot of pieces that need to come into play for Mendoza to kind of have that had that success. So, but again, we'll definitely get into it. Space Beast Surratt will not have Srace will not have a good combine. He's twitchy, has good hands, but short and average speed. I don't do a lot of look. Just kind of give you guys a little bit of take. I really don't put a lot of merit into the combine. I don't. The combine really doesn't mean much to me. I let them. There's a really good example of it. I let the play, what they show on game film, tell me exactly what I got, what I'm going to get in them. That's what I take 97% of what I see on game film, what they show in college, based on what I think they're going to get. Will Campbell. A lot of people were all of a sudden, oh my God, did you see Will Campbell trip over himself in the combine? Yeah, I saw it. I don't care. These are young kids. They might be a little bit nervous, right? I could care less if he tripped over himself. I'm looking at the dozens of games that he put on game film to tell me what I got. So him tripping over himself didn't worry. I actually drafted him in the 1 out of the 3 of mock drafts that we did. So I'm not worried about what they show in the draft or in the combine. What I use the combine for is, one, is there somebody that hasn't caught my eye? Look, I got a family and a day job, right? And so I don't have all the time in the world to go through all these prospects. But if somebody pops in the draft, I'm going to go back and look at them. One of the guys, and it's a good example, Bucky Irving. I liked Bucky Irving a little bit, but I didn't do a lot of research on him. But when I saw him in the combine, I was like, oh shit, let me go do a little more research on this kid. And that's when just my value grew on Bucky Irving. One thing I also look at in the draft is, do you pay attention? You're going through these drills. These coaches that are putting through these drills, they're going to tell you what the drill is. And if you're 5th, 6th, 7th in line and you go up there and you don't know what you're doing, you put the wrong hand down, you put the wrong foot up, you go the wrong direction. In the NFL, you don't have very many opportunities to get it right. You don't have very many opportunities and reps. The NFL practices are on a time. They are timed, and they are basically everything is to a T. You have limited opportunity to get your rep in an NFL practice, especially if you're a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th string. And if you go up and you don't have the right foot up, or you have the wrong foot down, you go in the wrong direction, and you're 2nd, 3rd, even 7th in line, it's not going to move me off of you, but I'm definitely going to have some question marks as to whether or not you're going to have the mental capacity to handle it in the NFL. Those are some of the things that I look at with the combine. So just a little bit of a precursor to our combine talks. The 8 of 5, trade back in the 2nd round, the end of the 2nd round for Surratt. All right, man. We'll definitely see just kind of how it plays out. We know that Spytek likes to navigate for sure. All right, appreciate it, everybody. I see you guys in the building, man. Do me a massive favor. James, I appreciate the super chat. What do you think about Clay Kubiak? We're about to get into it, man. You're driving me. You're driving me right into that topic. And so we're going to kind of get into that. Space Beast. Appreciate the super chat, brother. Space Beast, you're basically saying Tyler Linderbaum, 26 years old. I know a lot of people like Linderbaum. We're going to get into some of the free agents. We're going to break down some of the game film, just kind of do a deeper dive on some of these guys. And so let's see. Before I get into it, I just want to make sure I kind of get down into the chat. Like you're saying, I hope the next coach brings the stability and consistency since Art Shell Raiders, we've been swapping. Yeah, I know. One thing that even if it's a guy that I don't like, even if it's a guy that I wasn't on the top of my list as a head coach, I hope I will do it, and I hope everybody else does it. Give that coach a minimum of 3 years. For at the very least, we need to now be an organization that will give whoever we hire and bring in, we will give them the best chance to set their own foundation. So I just hope that the fan base will give them a minimum of 3 years to kind of set this thing. I will do it, even if it's a guy that I wasn't a fan of, even if it's a guy that I may disagree with what I'm seeing and looking on the film and on the field. I'm going to give him a minimum of 3 years. You got to. You have to move this thing around. And so, what up, Rundown? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping up in here, guys. Make sure you guys go over to Rundown's channel. Show him some support. All right, so I'm kind of down at the end. Let's see. Just win, baby. Got Evan Neal. I think you're talking about the offensive lineman. We definitely need a run game. We definitely got to prioritize that in the offseason, especially with free agency. Last year, my two top guards was Trey Smith. He got franchise tagged, but then it was also Mekhi Becton. I like Mekhi Becton. Would hope we'd bring him in, so we'll see how it works. But shots in super chat that was earlier. Let's get into it. If you guys are in here, do me a favor. Double tap that screen. We're talking about the coaches right here real quick. I got 53 so far in the drawing. Shout out to everybody. Again, I hate you guys with some surprise giveaways at times, but I'm promising a giveaway when I hit 5,500 subscribers, and I hit it. We're doing a giveaway today. I don't see him in here, but Daniel Kim, DK_Raider. The only caveat I have to this, now that I've done this a couple times, I just can't do back-to-back winners. I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna give that to somebody else. But you could be a repeat winner for sure. But I'm not going to do back-to-back. All right. Cool. Let's do this. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share the screen. Again, double tap that screen, guys. I appreciate it. It's going to go to the super chat that was just thrown out there. I appreciate you. We're going to talk about the first coach. Let's talk about the first coach. I'm going to share this right quick. Bang. I'm going to kind of maneuver this a little bit just so I can be up there. Bang. There we go. All right. Let's talk about 49ers offensive coordinator Klay Kubiak. Guys, let me know your thoughts on Klay Kubiak. We're bringing him in. We're going to interview him. Obviously, the brother of Clinton Kubiak, the offensive coordinator over at Seattle. My number one, the guy that I'd like to see us bring in. Hit that hashtag Raiders. Let me know what your thoughts are on Klay Kubiak. A little bit of history on him. He hasn't been coaching for too long. All right. Kubiak was hired as an offensive coordinator at the college level. But if we talk about just what he's done in the NFL level in 2021, he was hired on with the 49ers as the defensive quality control coach with the 49ers in 2021. Following that year, he was named the assistant quarterback coach, and he's been that since then. So he's been under Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, you got to love the Kyle Shanahan tree. But then he was promoted on January 8th as the offensive coordinator. So last year, he was the offensive coordinator, but obviously we all know Kyle Shanahan is running the ship over there as it relates to the play caller. So guys, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on Klay Kubiak. I'm going to give you mine here in just a second. Bill, you're saying I like the Rams guy better. I think that's the Sheets guy. Let's see, Rick, he doesn't call plays. So that gives me pause. He doesn't. I'm going to give you my take. Let's see. Hey, big dog, this one, you're throwing a lot in there. Do me a big favor. Don't spam the chat because it clouds it. Because if you keep doing it, I'm going to have to just kind of pause you out a little bit. So don't spam it. Don't spam the chat. I appreciate you, though. Revius, Klay does a lot. Klay does a lot with many hurt players and keeps the system working and as skill set of players fall. So it's hard to know and understand exactly what his role is, being the offensive coordinator, but not actually having that role, right? Obviously, he's there. He's going to help develop the quarterback. He's going to help develop, make sure the pieces are in place. And I'll be honest, as much as I've been around the coaching world for a very long time, again, not this level. I tapped out the high school level, but I know people that have coached at the college level. The question is just what is his role? How much involvement does he have with the success of what we see on the field? He's got a good opinion into what goes on, being the offensive coordinator, or at least having the title. But the question is how much? How much does he actually have in it? So that's my biggest question. So Just Win Baby, you're saying hire both Kubiaks, coach and OC. Now, only thing that because of what we had, right, and this is going to be one take that I have of this, is, there's a really good chance that they might be trying to get more insight on Clint Kubiak. Maybe you just want to get a little bit of the background. You might want to get there could be questions that you want to understand and know about just his pathway through the pro ranks, right? You might want to just get some intel on Clinton Kubiak, knowing that that might be your top guy. So is that what they're doing? You know, you're trying to do your due diligence, and so I think for myself, that's one of the biggest things that I could see this happen. Why they're bringing him in, because obviously you're not going to bring him in as a head coach. Um, that's just not in the running. But are you bringing him in with the potential, knowing that he might be the offensive coordinator if you bring in Clint Kubiak? Now, I kind of have pause at that because we just saw what happened with family ties. We saw with Pete Carroll, Brendan Carroll, and his other son. Sorry, I'm blanking on his name for some reason. But, you know, like, let's just kind of keep the family circle kind of out of this for a little bit. You know, my biggest concern, and shots of Rundown. I don't know if you're still in the building, but we did a live back in May in Rundown. I was on. It was a Friday night live with Lunatic and Chris and Severe and all that. It was a crazy one. Definitely go check that out on Lunatic's channel. But Rundown, him and I were chopping it up, and Rundown asked me the question, like, what's my biggest question mark going into the season? My biggest question mark was Brendan Carroll. And so, because again, we needed a good offensive line. If we're going to have Genty thrive, we needed a good offensive line, and we didn't really address it the way I wanted to. So the development had to run through Brendan Carroll. So that was my biggest question mark. And obviously, here we sit. Brendan Carroll was an absolute disaster. And I was saying it from day one all the way through the season. But man, let's not run that circle of bringing family members in. It couldn't work out. Could it not be as just, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of, but disastrous. Could it be as disastrous as a Brendan Carroll? I don't know. So I hope that they're just getting some intel. I hope that they're just trying to ask some questions to better understand who Clint Kubiak is. But again, maybe Clint Kubiak is like, hey, if I get the head coaching job, I want to bring my brother in. And they're just interviewing him and just kind of get a sense of who he is. Maybe that's a sign of Clint Kubiak is on the way. I don't know. I have no clue. But yeah, guys, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on Clay Kubiak. Again, I don't think there's a world where he becomes the head coach, but you're interviewing him for a reason. So let me know, guys. Let me know. Space Beast, saying Bill Ted's excellent adventure. Let's see. Yeah. John Shorts, what's going on, man? Let's see, man. I know y'all might think I'm mad, but screw them all and get that coach from IU. I offer him a bag from Indiana and let's go. I'll admit I might be drunk. Okay, shout out to you. Hey, I'm drinking with you. I need a refill in just a second. I see the super chat down below, man. I'm gonna get to that in just a second, man. I appreciate you. With Cignetti, he's extremely well respected in the college, but he just kind of came on the college scene, right? He's got great history. His past shows he's a winning football coach. No one can deny that in college. But it kind of goes back to the point that I made earlier in the live. I've said this when it comes to like Jesse Minter. I've said this. I did a short, I believe, a video on YouTube. The thing about Cignetti is, one, college coaches that go right into a head coaching position just doesn't work out. History tells you it doesn't work out. But two, he's going to have such a massive learning curve coming to the NFL because he really doesn't have any NFL coaching experience, at least at a high enough level or consistent enough to know that he's going to understand what it takes to coach at the NFL level. So it's going to be a massive learning curve. Head college coaches coming in and being a coordinator, different story. Be a coordinator for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years and understand how you can manage an NFL team because it's a night and day difference. In addition to that, I think you want Cignetti thinking that we're going to get Mendoza. I don't want a college coach that is now learning how to be a coach in the NFL, trying to teach and develop and create the foundation for our number 1 overall draft pick. Like, that just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make any sense. And so if you were to try to make that risky move, and bring in a head coach at the college level and make him a head coach in the NFL, you better have the most dialed in front office that you can imagine. You need to have a Steelers front office, an Eagles front office, a Ravens front office, a Rams front office, where you can teach that young head coach the ropes and develop them, because there's going to be a massive learning curve with that process. So I want nothing to do with Cignetti. Now I know he just signed a massive contract, so he's not going to come over here. But I don't want to pair a young quarterback, first year quarterback, with a coach that has a learning curve that's just as big. So that's my take on it. But shout out to you, man. Happy Friday. Again, let me know if you agree or disagree. I'll be honest. I'm here for the back and forth, man. I appreciate everybody rocking. Again, let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are on Clay Kubiak. Kevin Lurk, I got 18 names written down before. No, that's potential. Let's see. My profile pic is Eddie. Let's see. We got one. James, man, I appreciate you for the super chat. I've been hearing good things about Grant Rudinsky from the Jaguars. Okay, actually, I don't know who that is, man. I appreciate you actually throwing that name out there. I'll go take it. I'll take a look. I'll take a look at who that is. Wait, are you talking about? I know that there is somebody that's already on the list that is. They spell their name similar to that. Is that who you're talking about? Because there is a guy, I believe, from the Jaguars that is in line to be interviewed as a head coach. So let me know if that's who you're talking about. I think his name is spelled differently. But yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about him. If that's who you're talking about. So, but man, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you throwing that out there, big dog. What up, Derek? Hey, man, you in time? Derek, you know what's funny, guys? Here's a little bit of history. Derek, I believe, was my first ever giveaway winner. Shout out to you, big dog. You're my first giveaway winner when I think it was 500 subscribers. Appreciate you in here. I'm doing that again. It's my, 16th giveaway. I hit 5,500. And so all you had to do is put a comment in the chat and you're automatically entered into that giveaway. I'm going to do the drawing at the end. But I appreciate you. You said we have to get a group of coaches that are on the same page, pulling in the same direction. 100% agree. I'm with you. And look, that's why maybe this name is up here. Because obviously they will most likely be in the same direction. Man, I worry about what we just went through in the circle of family coaches. Rick L., I have a feeling Clint Kubiak is going to Miami. I don't see a world where Clint goes there because of there's really nothing going on in Miami that is attractive. Because there's, I think now, 7 other head coaching positions? I think he would, because he's the hot name, I think he'd go somewhere else. I think Miami would not be on the top of his list to go to because Miami is in a really tough situation. I think their salary cap situation is really bad. You still have Tua, and you're going to be paying Tua a crap ton of money unless you move on from him, and then I think it's a massive dead cap hit. Because Clint Kubiak is a hot name, I just don't know if he goes there. Could be wrong. And so, Jason, we need a quality staff underneath the head coach, ops coordinator, and DC. So, no, I'm with you. It's got to be all put together. It's all got to be put together without question. And so, best coach search I can remember. Yes, there's a lot of names that we're floating out there. We are. I think they're doing their due diligence, which is good. Which is good for sure. Especially, I'm cool with Minter to Ravens. They're already a good defense. They are. And he's going to build it. And again, young head coach with really a lack of experience in the NFL. You need a good front office, a good organization to kind of show him the ropes and guide him through that learning curve. Coach Cignetti is 64, and that's another. That's it as well, right? Cignetti, he's 64. That was my biggest thing about John Harbaugh, right? I wouldn't mind if John Harbaugh was here because I think he could do a good job of turning this thing around. I mean, he garners the respect of getting good coordinators in here. But he was old as well. You don't know how many years he wants left. He could be here for maybe 6 years. Could be here for 7. And at that point, he's now close to 70. Does he really want to be here? And so that was one of my knocks on Harbaugh. But yes, Cignetti's 64 as well. It's crazy. Adam with the hashtag Raiders. Has everybody forgotten about the people from the Eagles we added to the front office? I think it has 2 people. Yes, I remember. We definitely have some Eagles scouts, former Eagle scouts in the building. We'll see how that works out. Now, I will say they did bring over Thomas Booker. I'm not a big fan of Thomas Booker. When you could date this back to us breaking down game film in the preseason, Thomas Booker really didn't do anything for us. Yeah, he's a rotational piece, but he got moved off the line of scrimmage a lot. He could not get off of blocks, and so I'm cool with moving on from him. Probably on Wednesday we're going to break down all the free agents that we're going to be having going into free agency, and we're going to kind of. I might do it later tonight if we have time. I don't know. I'm already hour in, and we're not even into the major topics, but. I'm cool with moving on from Booker. We definitely did a swap with Jacorian Bennett. He got hurt, but I'm cool with moving on Booker. But if one of those Eagle scouts was like, "Hey, we need to bring Booker in," well, guess what? He really didn't do well for us at all. And that's tough if that's the first indication of what your evaluation is. But we'll see how it works. Let's see. All right. I just want to make sure I can get to the next one. Subscribe to the bill. What's going on? Appreciate you. Yes, do me a favor, guys. If you can, hit that thumbs up. Just hit that like button. James, kid, yes, it's Grant Udiski. He is the OC over there and has a viral video going around. He looks legit. Love the show. Okay, so I'll definitely go take. I'll go take a look at him. Definitely. I'll do a little more research again. I think because I'm kind of just doing more research on the top candidates. And we got one more. We got one more to show. We're going to kind of get into that one, but we definitely got some top candidates. And I kind of focus more on them. But I think the other guys are really good just to understand who they are because this next coach has to build his roster, his coaching staff the right way. If you can bring in some of these names and now our front office kind of has an indication of who they are, I think it's good for them to at least bring these guys in. So, Adam, I think a lot of these young guys we haven't heard of are also being interviewed for coordinator positions as well. Okay, yeah, that's just kind of what I said. I think it's just more of trying to do our due diligence to understand how we're going to build this coaching staff. But hopefully the next head coach has full reign of building that coaching staff. I want him to build it. I don't want this piecemeal where, well, this owner like this coach or this GM like this coach. Or no, give the head coach everything that he needs to build it himself. That's what I want to see. You got to make sure the chain of command is right. Raider Pete, what's going on, man? We're about to get to the next topic. You said Harbaugh is taking the New York Giants job. Yes, he is, but didn't want him anyways. Dude will suck with Newsom calling the shots. Yeah, I think Newsom's the GM over there, right? But I appreciate you rocking with me, man. Hey, we're doing a giveaway. I'll you know what? I'm gonna bring this down right now. The giveaway is going. There's 60 so far entered into the giveaway. I'm gonna hit that draw button here at the end of the live, man. Appreciate you rocking with me. So, Bueno in the building. What's going on, man? All right, so we're going to get to this next one. I'm going to let you guys answer this one. Keith, yes, it does feel like it's better than last year. I'm with you. I'm going to let you guys answer this one. I'm going to pour myself another drink. Shout out to everybody. Double tap that screen. I'm hitting you guys on a Friday. I typically go live with my guys in the Raider War Room, Severe, as well as Chris Protect the Shield on Wednesdays, as well as Sundays. So tap it with us, and we're going to be breaking down game film like we do in the season. We're going to break down game film, all the free agents, as well as the college prospects. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you. Hey, shout out to you. We're drinking together. We're having a little bit of fun. And again, I'm going to pour myself another one as we get to the next topic. Guys, let me know. This is a name. This is a name that a lot of people liked. Let me know your thoughts on Joe Brady. Joe Brady is officially on the list of coaches that we're going to interview. A lot of people did like him. Some people had him top of their list. Some people kind of had him second on their list. So let me know your thoughts. Hit the hashtag Raiders if you can. It catches my eye. Let me know what your thoughts are on Joe Brady. Definitely put it in the chat, and then I'm going to pour another one. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Joe Brady. I'm going to give you my take. Some of y'all that tap in with me, you guys know what my takes are on Joe Brady. Again, he's an offensive-minded head coach. Obviously, over there with the Bills, working with Josh Allen over there. And look, the offense is doing some good things, given the fact that, man, they're lacking a lot of just talent across the board. James Cook, one of the better running backs in the National Football League. Dalton Kincaid, you got yourself a good tight end over there. But when it comes to actual true receivers, I think they missed on was it Keon Coleman over there? He's He's taken a little bit more time to develop than I think some people thought. Look, I went on a rant of just how often I think, in my opinion, I love being on YouTube now because I can revert back to when everybody says I was wrong or everybody said that, hey, you have no clue what you're talking about. I now get to go back and point to all the times when I was wrong. But I'll also tell you when I missed the mark. All right, because it does happen. And now with rookies, you gotta have time to develop. I thought Keon Coleman was going to be better than what he was. I truly thought Keon Coleman was going to be more successful or be farther along than what he shows today. Now, could he continue to develop? Yes, of course. But as it stands right now, I just thought he would have been he would have showed more promise, especially given the fact that you have a good enough quarterback over there in Josh Allen to kind of give you that chance of success. So I thought Keon Coleman was going to be just farther along in his development. Again, remains to be seen. But as of right now, I wasn't necessarily on the mark with that one. So again, I'll call myself out when it does happen. And so let me know, guys. Let me know. Hey, and cheers. Happy Friday, man. Happy Friday. Hope you guys have a good start to your weekend. I appreciate you rocking out with me. Let's see. Just win, babe. You're saying nope. No. So you're completely off on Kubiak. Dominique, you're all right. You like him a little bit. Keith, you saying definitely top 6 candidate. All right. Tien, you're a no. Dominique, you're saying Allen credits a lot to him. And again, just like I was saying, like it's not like they are just swarmed with talent over there with that Bills offense. And so you definitely got to give him some credit what he's been able to do with the offense again. But a lot of up and down games. But I think that goes for a lot of top tier quarterbacks, right? The defenses have become so sophisticated over the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 years that you can go look at almost every quarterback outside the top. I mean, there's still some quarterbacks that are in very pass-heavy offenses, like the Dak Prescott's. Like Dak Prescott, his numbers look better than most. But if you look at the top, I'd say 6 or 7 quarterbacks, their numbers fluctuate up and down because defenses have become so sophisticated. And if you can, I guess this kind of works a little bit into the Mendoza talk, and I'll talk more on it. If you can understand how sophisticated defenses are and what they're looking to do, again, look at Vance Joseph, look at Vic Fangio, look at Brian Flores. If you look at some of those defenses and what they're trying to do and the way that they disguise coverages, this is where I want to see Ken Mendoza translate well and digest that. And again, I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying there's some question marks based on the fact that I don't think he's forced to have to do it. And we're going to talk about Mendoza here after all this. But that's the thing, is defenses have become so sophisticated and they disguise coverages so well that quarterbacks, their play, even the elite ones, it's so up and down. And so the ability to be a good quarterback in the National Football League, man, is extremely hard nowadays. Brady Pete, who does Joe Brady bring in as coordinators? If he's head coach, guys like Saleh or McDaniels would bring coaches and players. Not sure Brady brings out year one. So it kind of goes back to his history in the NFL. And I'm 100% with you because that's my biggest question mark with guys that don't have a lot of experience, right? When you bring in a guy like Brian Flores, and again, I know he's not offensive minded, but if you bring in a guy like Brian Flores that has that much history, as it stands right now, we'll give a little bit of history on Joe Brady. Joe Brady in 2020, he was hired as the Panthers offensive coordinator under Matt Rule. And then basically after that, he was basically, he moved on in 2022. He was hired by the Buffalo Bills as their quarterback coach. Ken Dorsey was the quarterback coach at the time, or the OC at the time. And then after that kind of failed, he was promoted to the offensive coordinator position, and he's been basically the offensive coordinator last season and this season. And so if he doesn't have a lot of NFL coaching experience as a whole, he was an offensive assistant back in 2017, a while back, with Sean Payton, and then he moved to the college ranks. And so if you just take a look at the amount of experience that Joe Brady has in the NFL, it's not a lot. He does have some, obviously, his offensive coordinator experience. He does have that. But just the body of work that he has in the NFL is not very extensive. And it goes to my point of what I was kind of getting at is when you don't have that much experience, then how much respect do you garner amongst the league from more experienced head coaches or former head coaches? A Brian Flores. I think a Brian Flores could get a Mike McDaniels as his offensive coordinator. I think he can. A Robert Saleh, I think he can get a Mike McDaniels as an offensive coordinator. I think a Brian Flores could get a Brian Dable as an offensive coordinator. Like, they have so much experience in the NFL and they're well respected that I think they can get some of these better names. Whereas a Joe Brady, I just don't know. Like, Joe Brady is going to have to really just understand the person that he's bringing in and know a coordinator, or maybe they're not a coordinator. Maybe it's a D lineman coach or a linebackers coach that you now want to promote to be a DC. I think that's kind of the route that he may have to go in order to bring in his coaching staff. Now, again, I don't know what names he'd bring in. I don't know what names are tied to him. I know there's a lot of other channels that do a really good job of just like, I'll shout out to all you guys know, obviously Mitchell Renz and Chat Sports, right? It's his job. It's his job to do Raiders content. So he does a better job and a really good job of putting the ties together, right? Seeing who is connected to who. Because look, it's his job. Shout out to him, does it well. And so I don't know who he's connected to. I don't know who he'd possibly bring in. But my concern is that because he doesn't have a lot of NFL coaching experience, I just don't know who he'd be able to bring in that is a prominent name on the defensive side. So, Rolling Dubs, you're saying not my first choice, but it would be good with Saleh head coach and McDaniels OC. Yeah, and look, I think Robert Saleh has that experience and that respect in the league that he could probably bring somebody in like that. One guy to honestly look out for is Mike McCarthy, and not necessarily for a head coaching position. I know that I believe I think he's interviewing for a head coaching position, but Mike McCarthy as an offensive coordinator. You could look at a Brian Flores or Robert Saleh, and you bring him in as an offensive coordinator. If he doesn't get a job as a head coach, I think those type of guys can have the respect and history in the NFL to get like a Mike McCarthy as an offensive coordinator. Joe Brady wouldn't get that, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think he would get that. So, let's see. Troy Gill, Brady and Burrow back together again. He does have ties to LSU, and so, but yeah, Burrow over here. That's a whole other topic. Just when seeing this guy lead the way at Carolina, very bland. And look, it's like Mike LaFleur, right? I really don't judge too much their first stint as an offensive coordinator, right? Usually, if you're a young offensive mind, you have your first chance at offensive coordinator. It's most likely with a team that's not very good. Like Mike LaFleur took over, and he had Zach Wilson as a coach, and they were not very good. It was Robert Saleh's first year. And so I think I won't judge somebody off of their first year, even sometimes their second year. I just like the fact that they have experience. But there's also the lack of experience and the lack of just years in the NFL as a coach in general. And so I wouldn't just judge him off of that. And I'm not saying just win, baby. I'm not saying you are judging him just off of that, but I'm just giving you my take. And it was my opportunity to kind of talk about Mike LaFleur. Even though Mike LaFleur isn't top of my list, it's Clint Kubiak. I'm not judging Mike LaFleur off of his stint with the Jets. You're a bad organization. You're picked at the top of the draft. And so you don't have a lot of weapons to work with. You got to build the foundation. You got to build that offense and bring in the personnel that you want for your offense to have a chance to look like what you want, what you vision it to be. So, but yeah, I heard that he didn't look great in Carolina, but it's good that he has the experience. Dixon, you're saying Joe Brady better than Matt Nagy? Yeah, I would take Joe Brady over Matt Nagy. I'm not a big Matt Nagy fan. I would not take him as an offense as a head coach. Bueno, and LC that gets carried by a great quarterback. All right. It's your opinion. What up, Leo? What's going on, brother? Guys, make sure you guys go say what's up to Cheeto Linus. Go check out his channel, man. Go show some love over there, man. Appreciate you popping up in here. Let's see. Keith, Kubiak, LaFleur, Salah, in that order. All right, I'm with you. James, I will know yes or no after they play Denver. Okay, all right. You're waiting it out. I like your style. Roland does. No on Brady. Team runs on Josh Allen's breaking the pocket and making plays. And there is that argument, right? It's like Lamar Jackson. I'm not a big guy. The guy that's the offense coordinator for the Chargers right now, Greg Roman. Right? I'm not a big Greg Roman fan, but I think what made Greg Roman look a little bit better was the fact that when he had Lamar Jackson and he was over there, the offense coordinator with the Ravens, sometimes a quarterback can make you look good. A quarterback can cover up a lot of your miscues because they can use their feet. And so that is one thing about Joe Brady. It's like, how much is it Josh Allen being able to kind of create and extend plays and do things that kind of cover up maybe some bad calls. And it's not to necessarily take anything away from him, but it's definitely something to take into consideration. So I'm with you. Lamar, what's going on, man? I like that we aren't looking at retread head coaches this time around. It looks like the top priority isn't necessarily retread. So I'm with you, man. Appreciate you rocking with me. Leo, Brady don't get enough credit for development of Allen. And I think he was a big part of it. I think Dable, obviously, I think the hard part is you can make an argument for both, right? You can make an argument. Obviously, Dable was over there developing Allen, and then you got Joe Brady that's doing some good things over there. So it's hard to just pinpoint where the key point of development is, but you can definitely make an argument for both sides. And so, all right, let's see. John, you're saying, "Hey man, I'm getting back with you. Thank you for the wisdom and understanding. I forgot that it's dang near impossible. However, the idea of standing as OC makes sense." Yeah, I'm with you, man. I appreciate you rocking with me. All right, let's see. Just want to make sure I kind of get to everybody, or as much as I can. Cobain, as a Raider and Huskers fan, I don't even want to hear the name Matt Rule. I feel you. But I'll tell you, Matt Rule made it out because the amount of guaranteed money that he got from all of his college coaching stints, as well as being in Carolina, bro, that walked away with a crap ton of money. Keith, how much experience did Liam Cohen have? So I don't know exactly how much. I don't think it was a lot, right? And so you definitely have your one-offs. Now, I'm not saying that Joe Brady would be bad if that's what you're kind of getting at. I'm not saying he would be bad. I just lean more towards having more experience. Also, given the fact that, man, our front office isn't the most squared away. You got a second-year GM that is still learning the ropes, trying to understand how to be a GM. Markdavis has shown to be not the greatest owner as it relates to football, the side of things. And so having somebody that has a lot of experience, that's what I lean towards, because this hands down is the biggest decision that this Raider organization has had to have in the last 20 plus years. It's the biggest decision because if you get this one wrong, I mean, this fan base is going to revolt at some point. And you have to give this next guy a minimum of 3 years to figure it out. So you want to minimize the chances of this fan base going back and going, holy crap, I told you you're wrong. I think Clint Kubiak, I think a lot of people can get behind. Not everybody, I'm just saying a lot of people can get behind. But I think with Joe Brady, a lot of people can point to his lack of experience as an NFL coach if he doesn't work out. And so it's trying to just, again, cross your T's, dot your I's, and minimizing the weaknesses. So, all right, let's see. Just want to make sure before we get to the next one, Pigs. What's going on, man? Did you hear about Robert Spillane saying Chargers players after their matchup told him they couldn't read any of the coverages? A reporter confirmed Jim about that response was epic. No, I did not see that, man. I did not see that. That's interesting, man. I appreciate you throwing it up. Appreciate you rocking with me. And so, what up, Jay? What's going on, man? You guys, make sure you guys go to Jay's channel as well. Go show some love to Jay. Definitely check him out. Let's see, James. Shit, after having Pete, any of these coaches will do so much better. But I have to say, thanks, Pete, for giving us the first pick. I know you can say thanks in the same breath, but yes, any of these coaches would do for the most part better than Pete, because man, it was the most dysfunctional we've seen in a long time. Jay, I like that we interviewed Brady. He's third on my list. Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm happy that we brought him in to do our due diligence at a minimum and just see kind of what he brings to the table. So I'm with you because you have to, right? Just because we like, I'm not saying we as in everybody, myself, right? Just because I like Clint Kubiak or Mike LaFleur or whatever, just because there's names that I like or a lot of us like doesn't mean that they're going to choose us, right? So you have to do your due diligence, and bringing in Joe Brady is a very good move. So, all right, again, we're doing a giveaway here, in just right after this. 95 in the building. Appreciate everybody rock with me. If you're over on Twitter, head over to YouTube, get into the chat if you want to. That's the only way I can see the comment. But do me a favor, double tap that screen at the end of this next topic, and it might be a loaded one. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. I might need to pour another one just for this one topic, but for this topic, we're going to talk about Mendoza. We're going to talk about the matchup, the things that I'm looking for in this national championship. All eyes are going to be peeled on this national championship. Obviously, with Mendoza, most likely being that number one overall pick, there's going to be things that I'm going to be watching for, but I'm also going to be looking at Miami, right? You got Ruben Bain. A lot of people like Ruben Bain. So if we end up trading back, is that a guy that you want to take a look at? He does fit the narrative of just what I look for in a top 5 pick. If we do trade back, we better stay top 5. If we trade back, it better be 2. But I want to stay top 5. And Ruben Bain could be in the conversation at top 5 for a lot of people. For me, not so much. There's actually be another player that I'm very interested in. I'm going to be looking at. But I'll give you my take on that. But there's things that I want to see out of Miami. I want to see. There's going to be things that it's like breaking down the matchup, and we're going to break this thing down here in just a second. Let me go back up to the big screen. We definitely talked about Joe Brady a little bit. Do me a favor, double tap that screen. Actually, hold on. Let me show you where the drawing is at so far. Bang. Let me go here. Right now we got 64. 64 in the drawing. All you got to do is put a comment in. And I've been promising you guys last couple of months, I'm going to do a giveaway of 5,500 subscribers, and we're doing it today. So appreciate you. At the end of this, we're going to hit that draw button, and then we're going to let this thing roll. So I'm going to go back up to the big screen. Okay. Let me pick up my notes. If you guys don't know, I do a lot of notes. I take notes. I do my best to be as well prepared. I don't know if y'all can see it. Here are my notes for today's live. All right. That's my notes for today's live, especially breaking down this Miami matchup, because there's going to be a lot of things that I want to see Miami do just to get a better idea of what Mendoza can kind of bring to the table. And so, let's see. House Junkies, man, I know you've been up in here. I appreciate you. Yes, appreciate you. Double tap that screen. You said, to be honest, we need backup candidates, plan B to F in case we get another Ben Johnson scenario. Yep, 100% with you. Keith, you like Chambliss, man? That Chambliss has a lot to like. There's a lot to like about him. One of the things that I look for in quarterbacks, if you're going to go after a quarterback, is just how much experience he has in Division I. Like Chambliss has a lot of Division II experience, and it's great that he has that experience. But I want to see someone that has really good Division I experience. That's what I'd like to see. Now, you could sit him for a year, he could develop. That's fine, right? But I want to see on tape just the consistency and the body of work of him having that same success he had this year, one more year. And I'd love to see him, because I know that they are trying to battle back as it relates to that ruling. And so he's trying to go back. I know as it stands right now, he has to declare, and that's the NCAA ruling. But I think that they're trying to battle that. So we'll see just kind of how that works out. But as it stands right now, yes, he's going into the draft. There's a lot to like about Chambliss, but man, the hard part about Chambliss is it's a risk. It's a massive risk. It's a risk going with Mendoza as well. It's a very big risk going with Mendoza. Just look at the history of number one overall draft picks or quarterbacks that won the Heisman, it's a risk because again, it's a hard transition from college to pros for anybody. But God, Chambliss, he does look really good, man. He has a lot of traits. I wish he could go back one more year. If he went back one more year to Ole Miss and just had one more year of D1 experience, man, I think he could be in the running for just a number one overall draft pick next year. Again, if he stays healthy, if he learns, if he continues to grow off of what the success he had this year, damn, like that quarterback class next year. And I heard that, was it the BYU quarterback? The BYU quarterback just entered the transfer portal. He might go somewhere. I'm telling you, like that kid could show some promise with one more year in the college. So, again, it's not that I'm entertaining possibly trading back, but Chambliss, man, there is a lot to like, but I hate the lack of experience that he has in D1 to kind of pass up on a Mendoza. But we're going to talk about Mendoza in just a second. Pigs. Baines could fall out of the top 5, at which point would be made, which I think you say maybe good value. The closer it gets to 10. Yeah, I'm telling you, we're going to talk about that. But I know a lot of people like Bain. A lot of people like Bain. Just when Ruben Bain kind of reminds me of Cleveland Farrell. We're going to talk about it. I don't think he's Cleveland Farrell, but we're going to talk about it. Jay, I hope they throw the kitchen sink at Mendoza. I would like to see them down at half to see how he responds. Hopefully, Bain balls out, and we can see how Mendoza deals with that. We're gonna do a deep dive here in just a second. And so Keith is a good kid, very poised. I think you're talking about Mendoza. Yes, he is. There is a lot to like about Mendoza. A lot. All right. I just have some question marks. And I know there are some people that hate question marks, but we'll do a deep dive. James, I want to see Miami rush Mendoza and throw him off of his game and see what we can do and keep composure. I'm 100% with you. Ready, Pete? Which 2 Indiana players would you like outside of Mendoza, defender, central? A bunch of 23-year-olds running amok all season. Impressive. I know that they got a linebacker over there that I'm going to do. I want to definitely take a look a little bit more. I mean, what I've known of Indiana, I got to do more research on just that team. I think the 2 position groups that I think you can really look at is that linebacker core and that offensive line. I think those are the 2 position groups I want to do a more deep dive on. Because I know that defense, I think they have let up. That defense is so good. I think they are, how do you put it, the second in least amount of missed tackles in college football. Like, they don't miss tackles. And so you can credit a lot of that to the team overall, but I want to take a look at those linebackers. We have a needed linebacker. All of our linebackers, for the most part, outside of shout out Coach Jamba, Tommy Eichenberg's out there. All of our linebackers are going to potentially go into free agency. It's going to be absolutely depleted. So I definitely want to take a look at their linebackers. I want to take a look at that offensive line. Those are the 2 position groups I'm going to be focusing on. So I apologize. I can't give you an actual name because I got to do more research. But those are definitely 2 position groups I'm going to be focusing on. My take. What up, man? Money Raiders in the building. What's happening, man? I appreciate you rocking. Yes, I'm glad free agency is before that. We're going to be doing a deep dive on a lot of these players. All right. Let's do this. Let's go into this matchup. Guys, let me know. Who do you think is going to win this matchup? All right. Obviously, I think Indiana. I'm going to give you my just quick takes on the matchup as general. But give me your takes on this game against my Indiana versus Miami. Do you think Miami has a chance at winning it? Do you? I believe the spread is 8.5, which is a pretty big spread. Do you think Miami has a chance at pulling the upset this Monday night? Let me know. I'm going to start to kind of do a deep dive a little bit on my takes. Shout out to everybody. Double tap that screen. Boy George in the building. I see you, man. Appreciate you being in here. By commenting, you are in the giveaway. I got 67 entries right now. We're going to do a drawing at the end of this, and we're going to do a giveaway, man. Just a little bit of celebration for hitting 5,500 subscribers on YouTube, man. I appreciate you. Let's get into this, and I might have to pour one more just to have a little bit of fun. So shout out to everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Let's start this thing out right. Let's have a little fun. Let's talk about this matchup. Again, yeah, let me know. Do you think Miami has a chance? Thanks, man. Thank you, brother. Let's see. Game numbers. Trade down and get Chambliss. There's a lot to like about that kid, but man, it's tough to move off of Mendoza. And one thing that I look at before we get into this, again, I apologize. I could talk a lot about these topics. When it comes to quarterbacks, I look at a lot of things. I look at accuracy, ball placement, your navigation in the pocket, how you kind of go through your progressions, what your accuracy looks like. If you're accurate off of your first read, your one or two progressions, I want to know how is your accuracy when you get to your third and fourth. That was one of my biggest knocks on Shedeur. Shedeur just didn't have his accuracy fell off so much when he went to his third and fourth progression. That's why one of the reasons why I kind of had him in the third round, or at least a projection on the third round. One of the things that I look at in a quarterback is how high is your floor? I want a quarterback that has the highest floor. Mendoza has a very high floor. That's what I like. Chambliss, I kind of see him as a very low floor right now, given the fact he just doesn't have a lot of experience in D1 football. What he did this year was very impressive, and I like what I see. But I would love to just see, I want to see more of it. This is one of the reasons why I thought Bo Nix could be a good quarterback in the National Football League, because the amount of starts that he had in college and just the consistency and quality of football that you could see on tape for, I think it was like 26 starts. I think it was more actually. But Chambliss, there's just a risk there. And so I don't know if I'd necessarily move off of Mendoza to just go after Chambliss. But I like the kid. Don't get me wrong. I like the kid. Now, if we move back, and if Chambliss, I don't know where he's considered in the draft. I mean, if you move back and you didn't go to quarterback, and maybe you got Chambliss the following year, I'm sorry. Let's say like in the later rounds. Let's say if Chambliss is still around in the third. And the only reason why I say Chambliss in the third, because outside of us, you don't know how many quarterback needy teams are really out there. Right? I think the Cardinals are a wild card. You don't know if they're going to move off from Kyler Murray, but if they move off from Kyler Murray, that means that there's another team that just got a quarterback. So that's, again, one less team that needs a quarterback. So I just don't know where Chambliss is going to be drafted. Is it second round? Is it third round? Does it go in the first? Does someone take a shot at him in the first? Maybe. I think it'd be worth it. But if you moved off from Mendoza to go get Chambliss, you would have to make sure that you got at least a minimum of, I'd say almost 4 first rounders. I want 3. If you even consider moving off of Mendoza, I want 3 first rounders minimum. That's the minimum. If you went after Chambliss, I think that you would have to draft Chambliss, but you'd have to be open, and you'd have to have in your mind that you're probably getting a quarterback the following season, because you just don't know how Chambliss is going to develop. And you'd have to have that draft capital to move up in the draft if you need to get that guy. Because you might find yourself winning, 4 or 5 games the following year, and now you need that draft capital to move back up and get that quarterback if for some reason Chambliss just doesn't look as good as you thought it'd be. That's why I wish I was on here with I kind of wish, but I don't wish, that I was on this YouTube thing when Trent Richardson was one of the top quarterbacks, because I'm a Florida Gator fan. Oh, I'm sorry, Trent Richardson, Anthony Richardson. When Anthony Richardson was a top pick and everybody was like, go get this kid, I was like, you better not get this kid. The Raiders better not touch this kid whatsoever. Because, and I'm a Florida Gator fan. I watched him. I watched every single game. I knew who he was, but the problem was his like floor was so goddamn low. He barely had any starts. He was what I call, this is kind of a term that I kind of coined a little bit. He's a highlight hero. Anthony Richardson was a highlight hero. And again, I wish I was on YouTube, because that would have been my take. I wish I was on YouTube when we picked Tyree Wilson, because I knew that Tyree Wilson wasn't going to be, it was going to be a far-fetched idea to think that Tyree Wilson was going to be good. And that wasn't even considering his injury. But The amount of hate I probably got because of my Anthony Richardson take would have been fun. But I knew that he was not going to be good because of the fact that he's a highlight hero. Everybody got hopped up on the 6 really good highlights that looked amazing, but didn't understand the body of work. So, again, sorry, I'm going on a rant, and I'm supposed to be talking about the Miami game. So that's why I'm very skeptical about risking the upside of Fernando for Chambliss. I'm not saying I wouldn't do it, but the trade has to be like you are absolutely fleecing and robbing somebody to move off of that number 1. So picture Indiana has really nice safety in the draft. Okay, I'll definitely check him out for sure, man. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go. Appreciate it. Yeah, 5,500, man. I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me. Red Pete, Miami has no chance, but keep it tight in the first half. Yeah, my take. Appreciate you, man. Just win. Miami has a puncher's chance. Not looking good though, man. That 8.5 spread that definitely tells a lot. Pictures Miami winning would be about the defensive line, getting to the quarterback, and that feels unlikely. All right, man. Game numbers. I thought you didn't want Mendoza. No. Are you talking about? Okay, you're talking about me. It's not that I don't want Mendoza. So I think a lot of people mistake me having question marks because prior to me, and if you rocked with me on Sunday, and we kind of had the back and forth with the chat, I think once I say I have some question marks, and the question marks isn't necessarily saying that he can't do it. It's just that he hasn't been forced to do it on a consistent basis in college football. And I understand the magnitude of difference and the culture shock that it is from going from college to the pros. And so I have question marks. Again, it's not saying that he can't do it. And I think some of the question marks are valid. So, and that's fine, right? Again, people told me I'm wrong about so many takes, but I can go back and point to, guess what, I was right. And so prior to me having those question marks, I wrapped off like 9 bullet points as to why I think Mendoza is a really good quarterback. And he has a lot of traits that do translate very well to the NFL. And carrying those traits is what I want to see. But it's all about valuing the number 1 overall draft pick. And it's basically saying, does he hold those traits that will allow him to kind of be that number 1 and at the same time be that quarterback that's potentially going to win us, 1 to 3, maybe even 5 Super Bowls. Like that's the expectation you want out of a number 1 overall draft pick. So everybody took me having some questions thinking I didn't want the kid. And so, again, and maybe sometimes it's because, and I understand this, sometimes it's because you kind of come in late in the live and all you're hearing is I'm saying question marks, but you maybe missed the part that, man, I gave 8 to 9 bullet points as to why I think he translates well, but I have some question marks. So, my take, you can't teach 6'5". Mendoza is a red zone machine. He is. He's very good in the red zone. I won't take that away from him. Keith, I think they do. I think they do if they get pressure with a banged up defensive line. And if Beck plays another clean game, definitely could be a good one. Yeah, I got my takes. So we're gonna go back and forth at the MGs with the hashtag Raiders. With that defense, of course, Miami has a chance, a good chance. And I think they're saying this is going to be one of the best defenses that Indiana has faced. I think they said that against Ohio State, I think. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see just kind of how they stack up. But I'm going to give you some of my takes. James, I think Indiana is too disciplined, and they are too good for Miami. Plus, I don't think Miami's quarterback is good enough to go with Mendoza point for point. Did someone say Calmar Pine? I'm just getting hungry. But hey, hopefully everybody's thirsty. Shout out to everybody. Game numbers. Yes, we need 4. Yes. Yeah. Picks Mendoza. Is Curtis Rourke. Played all season with the torn ACL. Curtis Rourke did, yes. With better mobility. I really like Rourke in the mid rounds. He went in the 7th, probably because of the surgery, etc. Yeah. And I think it was also because Cignetti, it was like his first year, really turned that program around. I think that a lot of people are skeptical on just how much like the success was a fluke a little bit. And I like Curtis Rourke. I had Tyler Shook in front of him. My quarterback ranking was Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shook, and then I liked Curtis Rourke. But I think there was a lot of skepticism of that Indiana. Like, was it like a one and done? Was it a fluke? You know, but it looks like Chris Cignetti has really turned that program around. And so I think there was a lot of question marks that came with it. Bart, hashtag Raiders. I do not want to move back unless it is a boatload, mother load of picks and quarterback, O-line, and D-line. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Keith, I haven't seen him play bad against really good teams, Chambliss. But yes, I'm Mendoza. Brother, Chambliss is 100% the second best quarterback in the draft. And yes, at least 3 firsts to get into the pick. Yeah, I don't doubt. I know a lot of people like Ty Simpson as well. And I got to do more research on Ty Simpson. But yeah, a lot of people like Chambliss. So I'm not going to doubt him again. I question just his floor with his lack of experience. But I like the kid, man. There's lots to like about him. Fix it. If we trade it back, who will be the bridge? As of right now, it's Gino. As Gino, and I'm not going to get into that. Maybe we'll talk about Gino a little bit later, or in a different live. But it's Gino. He's under contract. You got Aiden O'Connell here. It just depends on. I'd like to go a different route, but we'll see how it works out. I want a true bridge. I want someone that's willing to teach the next guy. I don't think Gino is willing to teach the next guy. Again, based on what's available in free agency, I do. I think. Why am I blanking on his name? The backup that was over with the Commanders, Marcus Mariota. I think based on the names that are in free agency, I think Marcus Mariota would be a good bridge quarterback. Again, he's going to come in here. He's going to know his role. He's going to understand he's a backup. He's going to understand his job here is to teach the next guy. And next year, it's not about winning games. It's about building the foundation. And so Marcus Mariota has so much experience in the National Football League that he can come in here. He can help just kind of play turnover-free football as much as he can, maybe sustain some drives. Again, it's not about winning next year. It's about developing. And I think he will play mistake-free football as much as he can, and he will develop. If it's Mendoza, he'll develop Mendoza. He'll be a really good, just veteran quarterback to learn from and understand the process of the NFL. Because, again, the intention isn't to win, it's to develop. And you might end up winning 4, maybe 5 games next year. Well, guess what? That means you have another high draft pick next year to continue the development and foundation process. So that's my take. That's my quick take. So Dixon then overpay draft picks next season to trade up for then overpay on draft picks next year. You say overpay on draft picks next year to trade up for quarterback. Now my thing is, like, if we do trade back, I'm going to stockpile it. You better give me 4 because I want that ability to move back up. I want that ability we got to be able to move back up. And so Kevin Lurker, I'm ready for breaking the chains of bad quarterbacks. I'm ready too. That's why, look, we get Fernando, man. I'm game with it. You know what I'm saying? And I think we might see a little bit of what he can do with some of the question marks that I have. But again, it's more the body of work. Like, he hasn't been forced to do it consistently. But man, Mendoza's floor is so high. I'm cool with it, without question. So I'll go real ones. One real. Let's see. I don't get the Chambliss hype. Nobody knew who the fuck he was until week 2. And that's what happens, right? A lot of people even talked about what quarterbacks you like next year. Well, there's some names, but man, like, there are quarterbacks that always pop up every single year. Like, I think, who's that that South Carolina quarterback? I'm blanking on his name, Sellers. But everybody was hyped up on Sellers this year. But man, Sellers looked like he fell down the pipeline. You know what I'm saying? And so there's always quarterbacks that just jump out at you. It's like the Jaden Daniels thing. Jaden Daniels came out of, I don't want to say came out of nowhere at Arizona State. He was doing some good things, but when he went to LSU, bro, he came onto the scene. And so it just takes time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not jumping to any conclusions with quarterbacks next year because, yeah, ones jump out of nowhere. Bart, hashtag Raiders. If we do get 3 or 4 first rounders and players or 2, draft Bain. We're going to talk about Bain in just a second. Can't wait for Mac Jones and Malik Willis or Brissett to shit the bed for us next season. So excited. I'd like Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett was my bridge quarterback when we brought on Josh McDaniels. I thought he was going to bring him in and he could be that bridge. I've always liked Jacoby Brissett as a bridge quarterback, but I think Jacoby Brissett's still under contract over there. But I liked him. So, Raider Chaz, appreciate you, man. Yeah, I can't wait for the draft either. I can't wait for free agency. That's what I'm excited for. But if anybody's going to the draft, let me know. Billy, hey, appreciate you rocking. I think you were one of my giveaway winners back in the day as well. I think, maybe not, but your name looks familiar, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate you rocking. I'm doing a giveaway today. You making a comment. I got 74 so far. We're gonna, after we break down this Miami game, we're gonna do it. We're gonna rock out and have a good time. Tien, can you point out 3 top pro and cons regarding Fernando? Okay, I can. I got plenty. I had an entire list. If I have time afterwards, let me break down this game first. Let me do the drawing, and then maybe I'll do that afterwards. Let's do that because I got plenty. I got a ton of pros. I do have some, and again, it's not even cons. It's not even cons. It's not even weaknesses. It's just question marks. That's all it is. Because I'll go into it a little bit later, man. But I appreciate the question. So, Room, what's going on, man? Appreciate the super chat. I just seen, I think it's Tape Don't Lie, Mendoza Cal breakdown. It seemed pretty good. He went from under recruited in high school to highly touted portal prospect. He did. His pathway to Indiana. I know I've watched a couple Cal games just to kind of get a sense. The reason why I go back and watch some of the Cal games is to kind of get a sense of where he started and kind of where what was his foundation going into Indiana. And then obviously I pour a lot more attention to the Indiana games, but seeing him at Cal is a good starting point to understand kind of what he bring to the table. But I'll definitely I'll check out the Tape Don't Lie breakdown of Mendoza, man. So, but I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate you rocking out with me. Bart, you're asking what I'm sipping on? Okay, here you go. I'm sipping on it's a Belvini 14-year Caribbean cask. It's actually one of my favorite scotches. That's what I'm sipping on. So, yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's a good one. Let me know if you guys are Scotch drinkers. Let me know if you're Scotch drinkers. Let me know if you like it, what you like. Let me know in the comment section. I'm a big Scotch drinker, so it's fun. All right, let's go. What up, Chris? What's going on, brother? Appreciate you popping in here. Let's see. Okay, let's get to this breakdown of the Miami game. Again, I apologize. I like to at least address as much as I can. Moon over, Miami. What's going on? Appreciate you rocking with us. Good seeing everybody in the building. Let's see. JD's Raiders. Appreciate you. Can't wait to see the new coaching staff. I know a lot of us can. I know a lot of us can't wait out. And man, if you are drinking, man, James, you got Blue Moon. All right. That's good stuff. I'm a good beer drinker. Hold up. Let me grab it. I always got to have my 805 in the building. Don't worry. I always got some beer rocking with me. I got a little refrigerator underneath, but Blue Moon's good. Okay. So you like the Island Scotch? So yeah, I'm more of a I'll move around with the Scotches a little bit. I do like my Glenlivets. I think Glenlivet 12-year, they have a Glenlivet French Reserve. That's probably one of my favorites. 12-year French Reserve, that's one of my favorite. So let's see. Fix It. You're saying is Cam Miller still an option for development? Nope, because he's gone. He is gone. And Gamer Mendoza is going to be a flop. Sorry. Here's the thing. I don't like people saying flop, but I also don't like people crowning him automatically, right? Because there's a lot of things I liked about Mendoza, without question. And if you can build the foundation, if you set him up correctly, then I think what he shows on film, you can say that he could be a really good quarterback. But I do have some question marks. But then also putting the crown on him and thinking that he's going to go off and win 3 Super Bowls or whatever, that's a whole other story too. So I think the two extremes is really tough to kind of rock with. So, okay. All right, let's do this. Let's go Miami. Let me give you my takes on Miami. Again, do me a massive favor. Hit that hashtag Raiders if you agree or disagree. We're going to make it work. All right. So One thing when it comes to Miami, I do think that Miami's a little banged up for tomorrow. I think that there are some players that they're going to be missing. I think the biggest thing is I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on Indiana. I'm not an expert in Miami. So this is where I might lean on the chat. If you guys have more kind of insight on both these teams, because I've done a massive deep dive on Mendoza and I kind of have my take on him. I have a good understanding of the team, but not necessarily all the players individually. So help me out a little bit if you guys got more insight. But Xavier Lucas, the safety, he had the targeting call last game, so he's going to be out. I'm sorry, the corner. That's going to be very interesting. If Miami needs all the help in the world to take on this Indiana team, and if they're missing a starting corner for the first half of that game, I'm going to be really curious as to how they attack that. Are they going to attack that right out the box? And I don't know who that backup is. That's the part about that Oregon game. I didn't realize that Oregon had two. I think they had two freshmen, redshirt freshmen. I think there were two freshmen starting at corner that game. Not that game. Sorry, I think they had two freshmen starting the season. And so knowing that, man, that is tough. So it's going to be really interesting to see whoever is playing for Xavier Lucas at the corner position. I'm going to be watching out, just kind of see how they target that. And that's for the first half. We'll see how that works in the second half. Again, do me a massive favor. Hit the hashtag Raiders if you have something to this, because again, the chat starts to fly. JD's coach and O-line play is going to have a big role in Mendoza's success in the future or failure. Yes, and I think that goes for any quarterback, to be honest. That goes for any quarterback. So let me give my takes real quick on Indiana. All right, going into this game again, 75 so far entered into the giveaway. We're going to rock this thing out a little bit later after I kind of give this breakdown. Indiana's take going into this game. Number one, they're clearly the better team, right? 8.5 spread. They're favored. But I said this in the past on Sunday, right? Indiana as a team is probably one of the most methodical, well-oiled team I think I've seen in college football in a very long time. From quarterback to lineman to running back to receivers, everything just clicks and gels, and you could just tell as a whole, not just on offense, on defense, they're probably one of the most well-coordinated, well-coached teams in college football, and I don't know how long I've seen. So just that alone is going to be very difficult to overcome for Miami. They're very efficient. They play mistake penalty-free football, and that's going to be very hard to overcome for a Miami team. Like sometimes you can hope that they are going to make a mistake, right? You hope that they're going to have a penalty of some sort. I'm going to kind of go into the penalties in a second. They just don't. It just doesn't happen for them. They are one of the most just well-oiled teams I think I've ever seen, to be honest with you. One statistic that I saw is this entire season, they have never lost a turnover battle. They've had games where it was even, but they have never lost a turnover battle. And we all know as football fans, if you lose the turnover battle, it's very hard to turn that into wins. The crazy part about Indiana is they have never lost the turnover battle all season. Don't expect for it to potentially happen on Monday. It could. Miami's a good defense, but that just kind of goes to show just how efficient Indiana is. But then to kind of go to the penalties, I looked it up. Indiana averages 3.7 penalties a game. 3.7 penalties a game, where Miami averages over 7 penalties a game. Now, in the majority, and here's kind of where it's going to be very difficult for Miami. The majority of those penalties that Indiana occurs, it's on offense. So because it's on offense, that means that Indiana's defense is going to play lights out, and they play very well, and they're pretty much penalty-free for the most part, which Miami's offense isn't their strong suit. So it's going to make it that much harder for them to be able to Miami's offense to kind of overtake Indiana's defense. Again, Indiana is one of the best tackling teams in the National Football League. So if Miami is going to find a way to kind of get an advantage over Indiana's defense, you're going to bank on the fact that you miss tackles or that you have penalties. And as it stands right now, it doesn't look like Indiana is going to give them either. So it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Miami to kind of overtake this game a little bit. So that's kind of my quick takes, and I'm going to get into Miami. It's going to be I'm going to majority kind of break down Miami a little bit and how I think that they need to potentially win or what they need to do to win this game. And then at the very end, I'm going to kind of give you my takes on what I want to see out of Mendoza in this game, because I think Indiana, again, is such a well-oiled team. They just need to play their game and they're going to win. So there's really not a whole lot that you can kind of break down Miami's game, because they play damn near perfect all the time. Raider Bart, this is a huge game for Fernando. If he balls out, would be huge. And a big game for both teams, for all players coming in the draft. Yes, I'm with you. Lil Dre, what's going on? Even if Mendoza has the best O-line in the NFL, he's going to play like DeMarcus Russell. Ooh, that's a hot take. That is a hot take, man. I got question marks on Mendoza, but I can't throw that comparison out there. But I know we've heard it a couple times. Now, Coach, what's going on, man? Oh, you respond to that. Okay. All right. Fix it. You're saying this is going to be a good game? Yeah. Let's see. JD's Raiders. It'll be interesting to see if Mendoza's stellar playoff play continues in the championship game. He has been playing better in the playoffs so far. He has been playing lights out in the playoffs. You look at his stats. He's playing lights out. But I said this on Sunday. A lot of people kind of hated me for it. I'm not going to knock on what he's done in the statistics. You look at his stats. It's wild. But I think it more has to do with just how well that entire team plays. I mean, that team allows it to look easy across the board. And so it doesn't take away from what Mendoza is doing. But at the same time, you have to also credit what that entire team is doing. And so, we'll see just kind of how it works. Let's see. Keith Russell didn't have the work ethic. Yeah, I think everybody said he didn't have the work ethic, or knows that he didn't have the work ethic, without question. So let's talk about Miami's defense. Guys, let me know what you think Miami's defense needs to do. And I'm going to kind of give you, at the tail end of this breakdown, the Miami defense, my hot take a little bit about what I'm actually really looking for with this Miami defense. So some of the keys. Miami obviously has to stop the run. They have to stop the run. And I think that they have a chance to, given the fact that typically of what I've learned of Miami's defense, again, I'm not an expert on Miami's defense, so correct me if I'm wrong. Miami typically likes to run a single high safety set. And so that allows them to creep that safety in the box. That allows them to crowd the box. And so typically of what I've heard is Miami likes to run a single high safety. So I think it's going to be something that's different from what Mendoza has seen in the past at times. But it allows them to crowd the box. So they have to stop the run. Because I think by them stopping the run, it's going to force them to do something that they haven't done before. Because Indiana's offense finds success on the ground. The Indiana offense moves through the ground game. It's not just Mendoza. I think the ground game helps Mendoza in the success that he has. But if you just look at statistically, just the amount of passes Mendoza have versus the amount of runs that they have. Yes, they had a lot of blowout games, so that skews the number a little bit. But you can just look at the body of work of this offense. And this offense doesn't run through Mendoza. It runs through the ground game. So if Miami can shut down the run game, and it can force this Indiana offense to do something that they really haven't had to do a lot this season, it can kind of help them carry an advantage a little bit. Not a lot. I'm saying a little bit. It'll just kind of get them out of their rhythm. Again, guys, hit the hashtag Raiders. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'm just kind of breaking this down a little bit. The second one, they have to be able to get to Mendoza with their front four. Mendoza is so good at the RPO game. He's so good at diagnosing pre-snap and post-snap reads with the defense. A lot of what their offense is one-snap timing routes. 80%. I said 90% last weekend. Maybe it's a little more 80%, but that's still a big percentage. About 80% of what they do, it's one-read timing routes. Mendoza is so damn good at understanding the defense formation, where pressure's coming from, and he's able to execute the RPOs better than I've seen at a lot of college quarterbacks in the past. And not only is he good at it, his ball placement, his accuracy, his timing, his arm strength, there's a lot to like about him being able to execute those one-read timing routes and those RPOs, which tells me that you have to be able to get to Mendoza. If you're going to move him off his spot, if you're going to put any pressure on Mendoza, you got to get it to him with the front four. So that's one take I have on it. But the one way you can combat a good RPO offense, a good one-read timing offense, is Miami. I don't know how much they do of it. I tried to look at some of their defensive film in some of their games and just really look at what their defense likes to do. Is they're going to have to do a very good job of basically zone blitzing him and simulated pressures. You got to show blitz. You got to bail off of it. You got to drop defense alignment into zones. You got to make him think a zone is going to be open through the RPO game, and then blitz that slot corner, blitz that overhang linebacker, and then bang, drop a defensive end, drop a D tackle into that zone. Because if you can do that early, and you can play that mind game with him and make him double think or double check what his read is, you can kind of throw him off. So if you do that early, I think that you can kind of have that play a role on the impact of the game. So I think Miami, and again, I don't know if they do it a lot. Let me know. Let me know if you guys know Miami better than me. But if you can zone blitz him, if you can run a bunch of simulated pressures at him, where he sees an overhang or a slot corner blitz, but you are able to drop somebody in that zone and you can catch him, that's going to be nasty. It'll be nasty because I haven't seen a lot of teams do that to him. And so I definitely want to see just kind of how he molds to that. So guys, let me know what you think on that. I want to get to some of the chat. Just see if you guys have any feedback on this one. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, looks like you guys are kind of going back and forth. All right. Okay. So I definitely want to see if Miami has a chance on defense, because this offense is so damn good. You got to think outside the box. You got to be able to disguise some things in order to be able to make that work and have a little bit of advantage. Next one. A lot of people like Ruben Bain. Guys, let me know. Let me know what you think about Ruben Bain. A lot of people like him. This is going to be the game that Ruben Bain can put a stamp, an even bigger stamp. Because again, I know a lot of people like him. This is going to be the game that he's going to be able to up his draft stock without question. He's going to have to get after Fernando Mendoza. He's going to have to. A lot of people like him. I'm going to give you my take on Ruben Bain right now. I think Ruben Bain is going to struggle in the NFL. I think he's going to struggle. If he plays edge, if he's more of a dedicated edge rusher coming off of the edge, I think he's going to struggle against the athletic tackles in the National Football League, and there's a lot of them. You know, you see the way that the offensive tackle position has molded a little bit. They are more athletic. And to me, Ruben Bain has his first 3 steps are great. He's explosive. I think he does a very good job of maintaining his gap in run. He's a absolute wall when it comes to the run game. Problem that I have is he's 280 pounds, and he looks 280 pounds when he has to move off of his mark. So, for example, when he goes after the quarterback, if the quarterback does a very good job of navigating the pocket, kind of shifting in the pocket, Ruben Bain, he's got very heavy feet. Like, I don't see him moving well. When the quarterback shifts, man, he can't plant his foot, change his angle, and get to the quarterback. He ends up drifting past the quarterback. When he has to chase guys down, he's just not as fast or as athletic as I'd like to see him. He's got very heavy feet. And I think that's going to hurt him in the NFL. Now, his first move is very quick. He's very smooth with it, which I think definitely, without question, helps him in college, and he does a very good job of coming off the edge. His first three steps are quick. He's got a good initial move, but I don't think he has enough. I don't think he has enough in his in his edge rushing package to be elite at the NFL level. I think tackles are going to stalemate him a lot. And so he's 6'3", 280 pounds. And again, I think he looks 280 pounds. He doesn't move well at the change of direction. And you got to have that as an edge rusher, as an elite edge rusher. If you're still going to try to pick him in the top 5, then you're hoping that he's a J.J. Watt. You're hoping that he's a maxxcrosby, a Myles Garrett. And I just don't see that in him. I think he's doing a very good job of beating up on college offensive tackles. I don't think that he's going to have that same success in the National Football League. And I'll give you, look, I'm not I got a lot of crap last year about my take on Mason Graham. I didn't think Mason Graham was a top 10 pick. And I got a lot of shit for it. A lot of people didn't like my take. And he went to the Browns. And the thing with Mason Graham, the Browns, him being slotted with the Browns and what everybody was saying that he was going to be an absolute monster, well, that was the perfect fit for him to be the absolute monster, given the fact that he's got Myles Garrett that's going to be the double and triple team all day long. He's got a damn good defense that's going to sustain that quarterback. He's going to be able to get to the quarterback. At the same time, he has other players in that front four that's going to occupy attention. So he's going to get a lot of one-on-ones. In that first half of the season, a lot of people were very skeptical as to whether or not he was going to be worth that. I think he went 5th. A lot of people were questioning if he was worth that 5th overall pick, because there's a lot of things that I saw in the game film of him in college, and I went back and I watched 7 games, and I had a lot of question marks and a lot of concerns with Mason Graham for a lot of reasons, but I'm not going to bore you with that. But that first half of the season, a lot of people were questioning whether or not he was worth that number 5 overall pick. And a lot of people gave me crap thinking, man, I just didn't think Mason Graham was worth that number 6 overall pick. Now, what I did here is that he kind of turned it on towards the tail end of the season. All right, after that bye week that they had with the Cleveland Browns, I heard that he started to kind of pick it up a little bit, which is good. All right, but again, it's all basing the value off of a number 6 overall pick. So the crap that people gave me, we started to see those concerns in that front half of the season. And so, let me see. Just seeing if everybody has any responses to me. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm just looking at the chat. Okay. I think you guys are kind of going back and forth with yourself. So, but I'm telling you, let me know about Ruben Bain if you guys like him. I have some question marks, especially trying to pick him. Even if you trade back and stay within the 5 spot, I got some question marks. I want to do a little more research on him. But initially, what I see, I think he's going to get stalemated quite a bit. All right, Coach, you got something for me. I wasn't a fan of Graham, Tik Williams. And look, I also said that with my take on Mason Graham, now that you see how the rookie D tackle class worked out, I actually think this is probably one of the weakest interior defensive tackle classes we've seen in a long time. If you look at just all the rookies and how they panned out, I think it's a pretty weak class. I think that's what it ended up being, because there's a lot of people that, again, like Tik Williams, I think Mason Graham, because of the concerns that they had in the first half of the season, and you look at the body of work of all the rookies coming out, I think it was probably one of the weaker D tackle classes coming out in a long time. Because 2 years ago, my number 1 D tackle was Braden Fisk. 2 years ago, and that was well before everybody was on him. Because my brother's a Florida State fan, and I started watching Florida State just because he's a Florida State fan. And man, Braden Fisk was my number 1. I want to say it was probably about 7 weeks into the college season. But then he had that combine and everybody kind of blew up on him. So, okay. You guys are kind of going back and forth. Hummer, I was watching the D tackles. Not one has me excited. So, the one guy, all right, I just talked about Ruben Bain, okay? and my take on it. Again, you guys can let me know in the chat, agree or disagree. The one guy I'm going to be watching is that Akeem Messidor, the guy that's opposite of Ruben Bain. Now, I haven't watched a ton of them. Again, I'm not an expert on Miami. I just started watching a little bit because I want to kind of understand Miami's defense a little bit, and if they did have a chance at maybe trying to move Mendoza off his spot, stuff like that. I want to do a little bit of research. I didn't do a lot. But I'm going to tell you right now, that Akeem Messidor kid is the one I'm going to be watching for this upcoming game. Because that kid, you look at his agility, you look at his first 3 steps off the line of scrimmage, you look at his ability to bend and get bypass blockers, get to the quarterback. And then I went and looked at his measurables, and he's 6'3", 280 pounds. Knowing that kid can move like that at 280 pounds, that's a kid I am definitely going to be watching this game. Because the more and more I watch that kid, I'm like, holy shit. Like, Bain to me looks like he has heavy feet. Bain to me looks like he's all of 280. Like, he moves like a 280 pounder. He's got heavy feet at times. His initial get off is quick. But once you move direction on him, I think he shows his 280 pounds. But with Akeem Messidor, bro, you move off of his spot, his agility will still get him there. If you move a quarterback off his spot, that's the kid to me that I'm actually a little more intrigued with on that Miami defensive line. So guys, let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But I'm going to be watching that kid on Monday night for sure. That's a kid that I'm very intrigued about. I'm going to do a little more. What up, Chewy? What's going on, brother? Hey, you Ken, you're in this one. We got 77. All right, I'm just not doing any more back-to-backs. That's what I'm not doing. All right, as long as you're rocking with it. But you won the previous one. Daniel Kim, DK, he won that last one, so you win on this one, man. I appreciate you rocking with me. So let me know if, but I appreciate the super chat, brother. Guys, make sure you guys go hit up Chewy's channel. And once I'm done here, I think Jeff might be going live. Go check out Jeff as well. But I'm just breaking down my takes on this Miami game against Indiana. I just went over the defense. I'm going to go to the offense, and then I'm going to finish it off with what I expect to see out of Mendoza this upcoming game. So, but Chewy, man, I appreciate the super chat. Pigs, the truth is never going to be found in one person's retelling. Okay, I think you guys might be going back and forth. Hummer, I think you're talking about Akeem Messidor. Akeem was causing disruption more often than Bain. I was confused why everyone is saying Bain. Okay, so that's that kid. Like when I went back and I looked at his measurables, I'm like, damn, you're 6'3". With 6'3" is okay height. You know, it's not amazing, but to see that he's 280. I think he moves much better than Bain, in my opinion. And so I'm very intrigued about that kid. Pigs, Farrell had heavy feet. All right, man. So I don't know if you're the one that kind of compared it to Farrell last time, I think. But yeah, like that's my concern about Bain, is that he's good off the start. He's good against the run. I've also seen, but I did hear against Oregon. Was it Oregon? No, who did it go against? Ole Miss. Sorry. I heard that when they played against Ole Miss, he was recovering from the flu. If that's true, okay. But if it's not, I saw Bain kind of take plays off. I saw him kind of pull up and not go 110% to the play. Now, if he's recovering from the flu, then I completely understand. I get it. But I've seen him where, you know, if the play is going away from him, or if the play is going downfield, man, he ain't he's smooth, straight line speed. But again, if he's got to move, if he's got to change his angle, man, his speed slows down so much. And man, he just becomes, you see him having just heavy feet. So that's the part that I struggle with Bain, to be honest. Troy, would you play Bain at D tackle? I honestly think that's where he's better suited. But when I watch him, he's good at maintaining the line of scrimmage. But again, he's only 280. So if you play him inside more as a 3 tech, which I think he's more likely to be in the NFL, he's so undersized. I just don't know how effective he would be. And so that's why if you already have to possibly change his position, he's not worth a top 5 pick. You know what I'm saying? And so not even a top 10 if you have to change his position. I think that's where he's better suited, but that's not me saying that I think he would actually excel there. Because I think that, man, I don't think he's going to have much success in the NFL at the edge rushing position. I think offensive tackles are going to eat him alive. So again, that's just my take. But yes, he probably could move inside more of a 3 tech, but I still don't know if he'd be successful there. Okay. Cool. All right, let's go on to all right, guys. I think some of you guys are going back and forth. Let's talk about Miami's offense. What does Miami's offense need to do against this Indiana defense? I'm going to kind of go through this pretty quickly because, you know, at the end of the day, I think Miami's offense is not going to have much success against the Indiana defense because of the things that I said prior, right? When we first started, they don't do a really good job. I'm sorry. Indiana is one of the most sound defenses in college football. Indiana as a whole only averages about 3.5 penalties a game, and the majority of those on offense. So you're not going to be able to get Indiana's defense through penalties. Not going to work. So that's going to be a struggle. Indiana, I think, is the second best tackling defense in the National Football League. So that's going to be a struggle without question. And so, and it's not like Miami, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert on Miami, but Miami isn't the most explosive offense, right? I think that offense also kind of moves through the ground game. And so you're going to kind of go into the heart of what Indiana's good at. And if they're really good tacklers, kind of good luck being able to kind of move the chains through the ground game. And I think Carson Beck is more of a game manager, a guy that's going to be able to more or less methodically move you downfield as opposed to this guy that's going to just take deep shots and you're going to be able to kind of hit those home runs. I know that they have a receiver. I think his name is Tony. That's a pretty good receiver that could be an explosive player, but against a good Indiana defense, it's going to be very tough. So I'm going to go through some of the things that I think that they need to do in order to possibly have a chance against this Indiana team. Just when you're saying, let's move off of Bain. You know, we'll see. Like, a lot of people still like him, but that's just my take. That's just my take on Bain. And so we'll see how it works out. And one other thing, just remember, the evaluation process is very early. There's a reason why we're going to break down game film of all these guys, but there's a reason why it's really hard to get a full assessment on these guys because the evaluation process is really just starting. You're going to learn a lot more about these guys as the months go on. And so because it's just starting, I kind of want to reserve a lot of my takes, or at least my 100% take on these guys, because I have a lot more game film to go through. I think I'm pretty confident on my take on Mendoza, but there's still a lot that needs to be uncovered about Mendoza moving forward. And there's a lot more evaluation of him. So, Memo, what's going on? Appreciate you throwing a super chat out there. After almost 25 years, this shit show, let's just pray that we get this new coaching hire right in draft. Let's go. Yes, I 100% agree, and I think it all starts with the head coach. All starts with the head coach. So I'm excited before even free agency in the draft. I'm excited to see who the hell our head coach is going to be, because that is going to set the stage as to what I think some people want. If we go offensive-minded head coach, then, man, then Mendoza could be a great pick. Could be a great pick to develop. If we go defensive-minded head coach, you can still go Mendoza without question. But, man, people might start to lean trade back, and you build that defense, and now you can, because a lot of defensive-minded head coaches, they could say, look, I can go get a mid-round quarterback. I can go get a quarterback in free agency. And as long as they can get me 21 to 24 points, I'm going to build this defense, and we're going to play some smash mouth football. You know what I'm saying? We're going to control the clock, and we're going to beat people in the face. So I think it's going to be very interesting, the path that we go, depending on what the head coach is. And so it is exciting. It's exciting, man. But I appreciate you rocking. I appreciate the super chat. And 77 in the drawing. We're gonna be doing the drawing for the giveaway. Hit 5,500 subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Pigs. Bain would be decent pick around the 10th slot, but before that comes with more pressure and risk that I don't want. Yeah, I'm with you. Let's see. Okay, I just want to make sure I can go through. Let's see. I think some of you guys are going back and forth. Raider D's meaning offensive-minded head coach. The way that the league is evolving in decades, I'm with you. That's kind of where I want to rock. Clint Kubiak is my number one as it stands right now. So, okay. Miami offense, what do they need to do? Obviously, number one, I'm going to kind of wrap through this pretty quickly, and then at the tail end, I'm going to hit you guys with what I want to see out of Mendoza. Number one, obviously, Miami has to establish the run game. You have to. If you can't establish the run game, then you are not going to be able to kind of keep that Indiana offense off the field, because the thing is that Indiana offense as a whole, from Mendoza to the offensive line to running game to the receivers, they are the most efficient and methodical offense I've seen in a long time. So keep them off the field, ground away on the ground game, because I think that's Miami's strength. Again, I'm not an expert on Miami, so chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But they got to establish it. Just nickel and dime them, and when you can establish the run game, when you can be in 3rd and 2 and get the first down, 3rd and 4, get the first down, 3rd and 1, get the first down. It's like a boxer. It's like a boxer just hitting you with body shots. It's going to eventually wear you down. And so it's going to wear down that defense. So I think that they could potentially just improve their chances of keeping the game close or winning the game if they establish that run game and do it well. Carson Beck, got to be smart with the football, got to minimize the turnovers. I think what Carson Beck needs to do is just take what the defense gives you. Don't try to get fancy with it. Don't try to force anything. Just be the game manager that you look like you have been this entire season. Again, not an expert on Miami. It's just kind of what I think he's been. But just take what the defense gives you. Don't get greedy, because when you get greedy, all of a sudden, your turnover happens, and you're going to find yourself like Oregon, and you're going to give Indiana short field position sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So don't be greedy with it. Take what the defense gives you. Here's the biggest thing. Is you have to break tackles. You have to break tackles. That running back, the running back that is going to be running that rock, make the first man miss. If you can do that, then I think you're going to give yourself a decent chance of sustaining drives. Break tackles all day, all game long. But again, like I said before, it's going to be difficult because Indiana is one of the best tackling defenses in National Football League. But if you want to sustain drives, man, these running backs, you're going to have to break tackles. So that's going to be my one of my biggest things. Now this is going to kind of look. This will kind of roll into my takes of Mendoza, and this is the last thing that I'll say when it comes to Miami's defense and what I think they need to do in order to potentially have a chance at winning this football game. Let me just see if there's anywhere any like Frank Weber, as always, fill position and time possession. I'm with you. Control that clock. Control that clock. Bart, you're saying 100% establish the run, limit the turnovers, big defensive showing. 100%, I'm with you. I am with you. I'm going to get into this last take, and I'm going to pour myself another drink, man. Appreciate everybody rocking. We're about to do that giveaway here very soon. Appreciate everybody rocking. 77 in that giveaway. The biggest thing that Miami's we're going to kind of go back to Miami's defense, but the biggest thing that Miami's defense can do is get get Indiana out of their comfort zone. I said this before, and I said this on Sunday. A lot of people just kind of hate the way I'm putting it, but it is what it is. Miami's offense runs through the ground game. Fernando Mendoza is one of the most efficient quarterbacks I've ever seen as it relates to what his role is on the offense. But that Indiana offense runs through the ground game. And so Miami has to stop that ground game. You have to get Indiana in as many 3rd and long situations as you can, even though they're extremely efficient on 3rd and long. But the reason why Indiana is so good at 3rd downs is because they find themselves the majority of the time in 3rd and 2s and 3rd and 3s and 3rd and 1s, which opens up the playbook. They're going to hit you with the RPO. They're going to run the ball. They're going to hit you with the quick timing reads, the one read timing throws. You got to get them out of their comfort zone. Bring pressure, get them on third and longs. Here's the biggest thing, is that if you can make Mendoza have to work his feet, and this is one of my biggest question marks, and again, it's a question mark. It's not that he's saying he can't do it. It's just that he hasn't been forced to do it a lot this season. This offense is so damn efficient that 80% of Mendoza's throws, he basically gets to sit with a clean pocket, one read, get that ball out, done. He's done his job, and he does it better than I've seen in a very, very long time. Accurate, great ball placement, velocity, everything. Reads it right. But if you can get him off his spot, if you bring pressure, if you got to force him to move in the pocket, his accuracy falls. If you go back and just look at the plays where he's moved off of his spot, he tends to drop his eyes. He allows the defense to kind of manipulate where he wants to go. But the thing is, you got to keep your eyes up. You got to keep your eyes up. You got to be able to shift in the pocket and not necessarily get into absolute scramble mode. And that's kind of what he does at times. Just shift in the pocket. And if Miami can get him on the move, you see out of all the plays that where he's forced to have to do it, his accuracy starts to diminish. Not extremely bad, but it's about 50-50, where it's a beautiful, good throw, but then 50% of the time, it's inaccurate. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see out of Miami is, can you get Mendoza out of his comfort zone? And that comfort zone is third and shorts, third and threes, third and twos, third and ones. But at the same time, don't allow him to live in this world of just one read timing throws. If you do that, he's going to eat you alive because he's damn good at it. So let me kind of get that. That's my take on the game. All right, now I'm going to get into what I expect, what I want to see out of Mendoza, but let me know if you guys have any takes on that. Let's see. Pigs. Let's see. Miami for sure will have to shut down the ground game. That opens up the door for Mendoza completing passes with lighter coverages as usual. Yes, they will shut down the run game, but the question is can they shut down that run game? Can Miami shut down the run game with the front four? That's going to be the biggest question mark, because you got Bain that everybody likes, or a lot of people, and then you got Akeem Messidor, right? Can you shut that run game down with the front four, with the linebackers being able to kind of play honest? That'll be the biggest test. And so, but like I said before, Miami needs to mix it up. They have to mix it up. They got to zone blitz the crap out of them. You got to have those simulated pressures where you show blitz and you drop off. I want to see them kind of mess with Mendoza a little bit, because I haven't seen a lot of teams do that consistently enough. Pigs, you saying that Miami D-line has a ton of pressure on them to be game breakers? They do. It's going to be big. Everybody has pressure, man. It's the national championship. Joshua, what's going on? Mendoza is nice, but his ceiling is Kirk Cousins. I know a lot of people has kind of thrown the Kirk Cousins out there. I think he's more like Jared Goff. My guy, LA Raider, guy that I've known for a while back. He's from my hometown. He was the first one that kind of gave me that comparison. Shout out to him. And the more and more I watch Jared Goff in college, you can definitely see similarities. But I have heard people compare him to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins could be I think he's more mobile than Kirk Cousins. Don't get me wrong. I really don't think Mendoza is going to be this athletic guy that everybody thinks he's going to be. The speed in the NFL is night and day difference. Mendoza will be good enough, I think, to kind of get you those third and twos and third and threes, right? Those third and shorts. He's got the mobility to get them. I'm not questioning that. But to think he is like a Josh Allen, I just don't see it. I don't see him having that type of mobility in the NFL. Because go back and watch Jared Goff in college. Jared Goff looked like he had some mobility to him, but he ain't got that mobility here in the NFL. The NFL speed is night and day difference. So I think if people think his ceiling is Kirk Cousins, I think then it's a more mobile Kirk Cousins, in my opinion. Red or white? What's going on? He was creating a lot in Penn State. So there are some games. I'm not saying that he can't do it, right? So it's trying to make sure everybody differentiates the verbiage that I'm using. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying that there wasn't enough of film to know, can he do it consistently? And so again, I go back to that Michigan State game. I think the Michigan State game was probably the best all-around game I saw out of him. If he had more Michigan State games on game film, if he had like 5 of those, like what he showed at Michigan State was probably the best display of what I'd like to see out of a number 1 draft pick. I mean, every facet of that game was pretty damn good out of him. He showed mobility. He showed he can move out of the pocket. He showed he was good throwing on the run. But the problem is, it's just one game. So it's not about me saying he can't do it. It's me saying I question just, is that truly a part of his game? Can he do it consistently enough? And so there's, without question, there are games that he shows it. But there's also enough to where when he is moved off his spot and has to actually move out the pocket, and then his accuracy falls off, or his eyes drop when he has to move around the pocket. It's like 50-50. But again, I'm not saying he can't do it, because he wasn't forced to do it a lot. And so that's why it just raises the question marks. The Penn State game was good without question. But yeah, I would refer everybody to go back and watch the Michigan State game. And man, if he had more games like that on film, then I think I would be more inclined to say, damn, like he can be that guy. But he just doesn't have that many games. Go look at all the other games that they had. The offense runs through the ground game. He's just efficient as all hell with the role that he plays in that offense. Because I think in that Michigan State game, he threw for like 330 yards. I mean, it's the best game he had for the most part through the air. Everything else, man, they ran more times than they passed by far. You just look at the ending season stats so far. Up to this point, they have far exceeded the amount of running attempts than passing attempts. And yes, there was a lot of blowouts, so that kind of sways the number a little bit. But you could just tell. Look at the Oregon game. The Oregon game, it ran through the run game, but he was just so damn efficient for what was called upon him. So again, I'm not saying he can't do it. There's just some question marks because you just don't see a lot of it. And he's not forced to do it. Let's see. Hold up. Raider D's, I hope Miami shuts Indiana's run game down just to see how Mendoza reacts. I'm with you. That's what I do hope. Fix it. You're saying Mendoza's pre and post games, post reads are on point. They are extremely on point. I 100% agree. Extremely on point. And I do think, and again, it kind of goes to the point of, it's so on point, and it does, that running game is so good that it allows him to kind of have those basic reads. Now, just so you know, even though he's on point with the post-snap, pre-snap reads, his timing's great, his accuracy is great, his ball placement's great, the velocity is great, he will not have those type of reads in the NFL. And that's why it's so hard to, that's why for myself, I am very hesitant to overvalue quarterbacks when it looks that easy, because I know that the NFL is not going to allow it to be that easy. And we might do a breakdown of the defenses, but what some of the top defensive coordinators in the National Football League, the way that they construct their defenses and the way they scheme it, they disguise crap better than you will ever see in college. And so, because it looks that easy in college doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to translate to the NFL. And that's why, again, I'm hesitant to overvalue certain things in the NFL. But I am not going to discredit it. In college, his post-snap, pre-snap reads are on point, without question. I will not discredit it. Picks. I think we all want to see Mendoza play a difficult game. It would be nice to see because, man, he doesn't have a lot of it. He does not have a lot of it. Joshua, if Bird fans are okay with having a prime Kirk Cousins level quarterback, then I say go for it. Yeah. Kirk Cousins was not a bad quarterback. I think he was Kirk Cousins' agent is probably the MVP. That's for damn sure. Just win, baby. Miami needs to play like they did. I think they're saying like they did against Ohio State if they want to stay in the game. I don't know if I didn't see that game, so I'm guessing, good game. Joshua, Goff is a phenomenal comparison. It's a really good comparison, but if we pick him number one overall, then that means, are you saying Goff is good enough to win multiple Super Bowls? Now I know he went to the Super Bowl with Sean McVay, which was great, but then they moved off from him. So then having that comparison, and don't get me wrong, it's hard to compare, a quarterback to Patrick Mahomes. I know a lot of people did it with Caleb Williams, and so again, I'm going to go to what I expect out of Mendoza. So it's a great it's a really good comparison, which means you're getting a good quality quarterback. But at one, man, you want that quarterback that's going to be able to win you everything. So that's the question: is he good enough to be that? Brady's one in the hand is two is better than two in the bush. Mendoza is one in the hand. I'm with you. Like, again, just because I have questions doesn't mean I don't want to draft him. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm all for it. I'm all for it if the situation is right. I like Mendoza, but he needs a lot around him. So it's easy to say, y'all, a new coach should build a team. But I think that has to do with every quarterback, right? Every successful quarterback, for the like 99% of them, you need talent around them. So I think that goes for any quarterback. No quarterback, for the most part, that I know of, I would say, except for Patrick Mahomes that year, and Tom Brady, right? Those are the two that I think, when Patrick Mahomes lost Tyreek Hill, I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, hey, he had Travis Kelce, but outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot. And so, that could be a good example. But then you had, Tom Brady when he won the Super Bowl, when he had Corey Dillon as his running back, stuff like that. And Wes Welker, I think, was his number one. Those are some really, really rare examples of a quarterback doing it really all by themselves. But they also had good defenses, right? Tom Brady always had really good defenses. So it's not all him, but you definitely need help around to find success. Moving over Miami. Mendoza won't be able to run away from NFL defense. He won't. That's why I definitely question people thinking that he's going to be just kind of like this athletic. Again, for the people that compare him to Josh Allen. Mendoza running like Baby would be fine, able to pick up yards in the clutch when teams sell out mass coverage and man. I hope he does not run like Brady. That is rough. That's rough. I think he's definitely more athletic than Brady. I think you're referencing Tom Brady. But I do think he'd be much more athletic than Tom Brady, but just not as much as I think some people think. Just when Indiana had so many blowouts this year, it's hard to tell his true ceiling. That is true. That's true. You got to take into consideration. Bart, you're saying great breakdown on the two teams out of 5. This is going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's close and not a blowout either. I'm with you. I appreciate the feedback. And yes, I 100% hope that it's close and that we just kind of see Fernando just being tested in a way that I'm about to break down. Rocky, what's going on, man? I think Fernando Mendoza can carry the Raiders. We'll see. We will see. Not going to say he can't. Not going to say he will. But obviously, in the NFL, it has to be a team effort. But if you put the right pieces around Mendoza, his floor is so high that I think he can be a piece, without question, to be a piece of possibly finding success in this NFL as an offense. Because his floor is so high. There's just some things that I definitely want to see in Miami. Hopefully Miami can take him to the limit. We'll see. Kurt's a good quarterback, but those contracts are scary to build around. Those are. And we're going to talk about one other topic in just a second. But let me kind of get into it. DDs, I would love to see the Raiders play like Indiana. I would like it would make that Genty pick more worth it. Man, you kind of took the words out of my mouth a little bit because – it's really dependent on who do you build around at this point, right? You pick Genty at number 6, and everybody's like, build around Genty. And then now you pick Mendoza. Who do you build around? Because I gave the example of Brock Bowers. If you pick Mendoza number one and now Brock Bowers, and it takes Mendoza 2 to 3 years to really get to his peak, maybe it's 3 years when he gets to his peak. Now, guess what? Brock Bowers is going to contemplate whether he signs that 1 year contract or that 5th year option, and maybe he won't be here because maybe you don't dump a lot of money in Brock Bowers. I don't know, but let's say you do. Let's say you do dump a bunch of money into Brock Bowers, and now you're in year 3, which means Genty's in year 4. And now you have to figure out, damn, are we going to dump a bunch of money into Genty, a running back, when in the following year, we may now have to dump a bunch of money into Mendoza because now he's going into his 5th year. And you see the trend now. A lot of young rookies are not accepting a 5th year contract. They're saying, no, I want my money. I want my contract. You look at Justin Jefferson and what he just did. You look at what Jamar Chase just did. Like, if we draft Fernando Mendoza and it takes him 3, maybe like in that 4th year, now you're starting to get the peak of what he can do. You may not sign Genty to a second contract. I mean, the market tells you don't sign a running back to a second contract based on the money you potentially have to pay him. And so that, because if you sign Genty to a big contract, you now know Fernando Mendoza's contract is right around the corner. Fernando's going to be 1 year behind Genty with the contract talks. That's where it's just another reason why I don't understand why you pick a running back at number 6 overall. Because it's not about the talent that he brings to the table. It's about how do you manage that position as it relates to the salary cap and the importance of that position when you come up to contract talks. Because I will take Genty's money that you have to dump into him, and I will invest in the offensive line and protect Fernando Mendoza. Because you still have to get pieces on the defense. So that's, again, okay, I went on a tangent. My bad. Just win. Do you like him better than last year's first year's Cam Ward? No, I like Cam Ward better. I like Cam Ward better because what I really liked about Cam Ward is not only did he go through multiple systems and found success in multiple systems, I think Cam Ward was the reason why Miami found success last year. Go look at Miami's team. There wasn't a bunch of studs on that team. Indiana is probably one of the most well-built teams from top to bottom that we've seen in a while. Like, they are a very, very well-built team, well-coached. They execute everything extremely well, where Miami, Cam Ward, I think, was the reason why Miami found success. But also, I will leverage over Mendoza. I think Cam Ward does a better job of creating his own success. I think he navigates the pocket much better. I think he can work out a structure better than Mendoza can. Now, I say I think he can. Again, Mendoza hasn't been forced to do it a lot on a consistent basis, so I just don't know how well he's going to be able to do it in the NFL on a consistent basis. But I would take Cam Ward because I know what Cam Ward can do. He can work out a structure. He can make the team around him better. Whereas Mendoza, he makes it better, but Mendoza is a piece to that well-oiled machine. And you see it through the offensive stats where they lean on the run game to make that offense flow. Mendoza just plays his role perfectly. Better than I've seen. So I actually lean Cam Ward. If it was Cam Ward or Mendoza, I'd take Cam Ward. Let me know if you agree or disagree. All right, let's see. Hold up. All right, MDs. Even Mahomes struggled with when the offensive line isn't good. He did, and that is a very good example of why in the last 3 to 4 years, defenses have done a very good job of being more intelligent with their scheme, and that's why, even as good as Patrick Mahomes is, he's having his up and down years. All quarterbacks, the elite quarterbacks, the mass majority of them, Matthew Stafford's doing a really good job. Dak Prescott they're in a very pass happy offense, so his numbers look really good. But for the most part, all the top quarterbacks, their numbers are up and down. Go look at Josh Allen's numbers. Everybody will say Josh Allen is a top quarterback in the National Football League. Go look at his numbers. It's up or down. It's up and down every single week. Why? Because defenses have become so damn sophisticated. And so that's what's happening with Patrick Mahomes. And a lot of teams are kind of shifting to be able to be more balanced, just having a really good defense, but at the same time, having enough firepower on that offense to keep you relevant. Rocky Tom Brady about to draft an offensive line that he will want to retire to play behind. I hope so. Not just draft, but go through free agency. I hope so, man. I hope so. All right, let's do this. Let's go. Josh Mendoza ain't no Josh Allen, but I've heard the comparisons quite often enough to where I think quite a lot of people actually think that way. JD's, you're saying the only way we get an O-line Brady would play behind is through free agency. Yes. Bart, draft Mendoza, draft Surratt, build the O-line. He will have two powerhouse tight ends, Ashton Jeanty. Man, Ashton Jeanty, Barrett Foundation of Youth. If you guys stick around for our film breakdowns throughout the season, the one thing that I'm going to be looking for, and I already have 3 names that are free agents, we need better blocking tight ends. I understand that we have tight ends. I understand that we have Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Ian Thomas, I believe, is a free agent. He's gone. But I'm going to tell you, if you guys rocked out with me in the offseason, we break down the game film, Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, Ian Thomas, obviously we're moving on from, they're not good run blocking tight ends. Like Michael Mayer had probably one good game being a good run blocker. Outside of that, as much as we gave our offensive line a bunch of crap, and rightfully so, our tight ends are atrocious. Our tight ends are horrible at run blocking. There's 3 names that I have that we're going to do a little bit of a film breakdown that I want us to target in free agency to bring in some actual good run blocking tight ends. Again, our offensive line was garbage. It was not good. But you cannot let the tight ends off the hook. The tight ends were horrible in run blocking the entire season. We got to prioritize that as well. And I'm going to be doing some film breakdown. So, Red Hawaii, more important than the piece around him is the offensive coordinator. Yes, I'm 100% with you. I've said it before. Quarterback is only as good as the offensive coordinator and kind of vice versa. And so you got to team them up. You got to team them up, and it's got to be right. It's got to be right. I think we should draft Mendoza, then a D tackle in a second, and adjust the O-line in free agency. I definitely think we need to adjust the O-line free agency. I got to do more research on the prospects, but D-line is definitely a priority. We definitely need one. Pigs saying I'd pay Bowers now to hopefully buy his future royalties, and that's the question, right? Because Bowers is going, his contracts, you got to look at his contract, and you can almost look at, I don't know what that tight end market looks like pay wise, but you might be paying him like a number one, not like a number one receiver, maybe close to it. Like you're going to pay him as the number one tight end, probably the National Football League, which is going to demand a pretty good hit to your salary cap. And then let's say you do that in the next 2 years. Shit, in the next year or so. Then you got Jeanty right around the corner, but then you got Mendoza right around the corner. It's like, this is now, if you pick Mendoza, if you draft Mendoza, number one, it's going to drop the likelihood that we're going to pay Jeanty a second contract. You don't invest that money into a running back. You invest that into an offensive line. That's what you do. You have to protect your most prized commodity, which is your quarterback, and you take that and you build the offensive line. You protect the quarterback, you keep him upright. You see what Mendoza is doing if you keep him upright. You can't tell me that you wouldn't go into free agency or get like a 4th-round running back like a Kyle Monangai, or he went later, but like a Scadaboo or a Bucky Irving, or you can just look at all the running backs that go later in the rounds that find success. You can look at some of the running backs that if you invest in the offensive line, look at Jameson Williams with the Cowboys. You know, Jameson Williams struggled with the Broncos, but then all of a sudden he goes to the Cowboys behind a good offensive line and he thrives. That's what happens. And so you're not going to dump a ton of money into, and this is why, again, I hated picking Genty, not because of the talent, but just because of the position. I would much rather dump that money knowing that Fernando Mendoza's contract's right around the corner, dump that into Fernando Mendoza if he's doing well, and get that money, invest in the offensive line, keep him upright because we know what he could do if you keep him upright. I'm off that topic. All right, here we go. Rocky, Raiders won't be paying Genty a second contract. I'm not going to say they won't, but most likely not if they go Mendoza number one. And he finds and he finds the success that a lot of people think he's going to have. Moon over Miami saying you draft running backs in your draft when you need a running back. Yes. Oh, well, and I'm not sure if you're meaning this, but you drafted in the draft, at least maybe in number one, if that's the final piece, when you have everything else gelled together, right? If you're picking number 26 in the first round and the final piece to your offense is a running back, then go for it. Go ahead and get the running back. If you think that's the final piece. But even then, I'm telling you, like, it just doesn't make much sense getting a running back in the first, let alone at number 6. Not because of the talent, but because of there's a million reasons. I'm not getting into it. My bad. Mendoza went through multiple systems. He did. He absolutely did. And I think you might be kind of giving me feedback on my Cam Ward thing. He 100% he did. But the difference is that he goes to a system that it's not all Mendoza. Like, he's going to an Indiana system where Mendoza is a great piece to it, and he executes perfectly, but that offense doesn't run through Mendoza. That offense runs through the run game. And that defense has to make sure that they are shutting down that run game because that's what they lean on, and it opens up the pass. So, but it was the complete opposite for Cam Ward. Cam Ward was the reason why that Miami offense had any success. So that's why I would take Cam Ward. And I think he also has, again, that ability to create that's better than, in my opinion, Fernando Mendoza. Rocky, Raiders need to sign offensive lineman second overall and sign free agency, solidify the offensive line. I'm with you. I want to go there without question. Struggle, would you trade Genty and old man Pete they wanted? Would you trade Genty? An old man Pete that wanted him, not Spytek. I've heard that report that Pete wanted was the one that wanted Genty. I heard that report, which makes all the sense in the world because Spytek was part of that Bucs organization that got Bucky Irving. And so that makes sense. That it was Pete that potentially wanted him and maybe not Spytek. Again, it's a report. Hopefully it's true. But, again, it's not to discredit the talent of Genty. It's just talking about the position that he was at. But would I trade Genty right now? If someone wanted to give me a first round for Genty, I would do it yesterday. I would do it yesterday. In a heartbeat. So that's just me. Picks, 7th round. Kyle Monangai is getting critical touches in these playoffs. Running backs are very tricky to manage for teams. I really wanted Kyle Monangai. I wanted Monangai as well. But it was to get Monangai and pair him up with somebody, right? My favorite running back was either Amari Hampton, because I think Amari Hampton was probably the best example of that all-down running back, that all 3 downs, because of his size and just his ability. But Travion Henderson, if we got Travion Henderson, then I knew you had to get a bruiser, right? So Kyle Monangai was my I would have drafted him in later rounds. Khalil Mullins from Michigan. If I could have had my perfect draft, and again, some of you guys rocked out with us, Travion Henderson, I would have loved to get him and then match him up with Kyle Monangai or Khalil Mullins. That would have been my backfield, because you guys see it all across the league, and Genty might experience this because of the way that we use him. Running backs get injured a lot. They get injured a lot. And if you're going to have Genty as your number one running back and he's going to get 25 to 27 carries a game and maybe, 3 to 4 catches a game, and you're going to use him 30 plus times a game, running backs get hurt. So you need somebody that's going to fill in and you're going to fall off too much. That's why I'm a massive advocate for a rotational backfield. So you don't fall off too much. But we just didn't do that, right? I mean, Raheem Mostert was not going to come in and do anything behind that O-line. And so that would have been my approach. And then by doing that, you got someone like Kelvin Banks at right tackle. You move DJ Glaze down to guard, and hopefully we have a decent O-line. But obviously with Brendan Carroll, he would have screwed everything up anyways. So it really wouldn't have mattered. But at least we would have had some talent in the building that way. Chico, stay. What's going on, brother? Mendoza is not elite. Wake the fuck up. Trade down and get Caleb Downs. See, I think watch what's going to happen. I want to get into just what I'm expecting of Mendoza. I'm going to get into that in just a second, and then we're going to get into this drawing, okay? I hit 5,500 subscribers on YouTube, 80 so far in the drawing. Okay, here we go. The one thing that everybody kind of has their take right now, and I understand it, right? I do have my take, but just watch. People are going to start to really break down game film. You have a lot of the pro analysts. You have all the guys on NFL Network. You have guys that are college experts and the pro scout guys and all those guys, right? They have their take right now. But I promise you, they haven't done their full deep dive. What they're doing is they're just seeing what's on film, what's on tape, what they're seeing on TV. Because they're also responsible from researching all these guys. You can't research all this college talent. Watch after about a month, after the college season's done. Watch after a month. You're going to you might see people start to kind of sway differently a little bit at times. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm just saying it typically does happen. Where you might start to hear people sway because now they're really starting to get into the game film. Right now, they're just looking at the game and go, oh man, this kid's elite. There's going to be people doing deep dives, and it might sway them a little bit. So again, just keep that in mind. It happens every year. Okay. Let's see, Rocky, why do you feel like Tar and Feathering Pete in the sun for the last season? Because it's tough. It's tough to even think of those guys anymore. Pigs, Tar. Tar's a bitch much. I know it is. Rocky, I agree. Blocking tight ends is a need. Yes, they are. Without question. Bart, what about Runyon and Streeter or whatever his name is? Carter Runyon. Okay, so Carter Runyon's more of a pass-catching tight end, so he's not going to be blocking. Raj Streeter is a former receiver. He's not great, but again, he's more of a pass-catching tight end. He was actually a former receiver at the University of Florida. I'm a big Florida Gator fan, so I know a lot about him, but he converted to tight end. He's not the best blocking tight end. So those guys, we have a bunch of pass-catching tight ends on this roster. That's what we have. We need some run blocking tight ends. And I got 3 that we're going to showcase in this offseason. So, okay, real quick. Some of the things that I'm going to be looking for at this game when it comes to Mendoza. Let me know if you guys Justin Shorter, Pigs, yes, Justin Shorter. Let's see. We got a couple more. Let me just get this Pigs. And Jamal Lewis is a great example of drafting a running back at the top of everything. Yeah. Rocky, I feel like I'm hearing about Fernando. I feel like everything I'm hearing about. I like everything I'm hearing about Fernando Mendoza. There is a lot to like. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot to like. Bart, would Tennessee trade us Cam Moore for their one pick? Not even close. I don't think they'd do that in a heartbeat. But I'd be curious to see what coach they bring in. Rare Dez. Pete thought Genty would hide Brendan Carroll's horrible coaching. Probably. You ain't gonna be wrong. You ain't wrong about that. Rocky, how many close games did this team lose this last season? The defense was full of veteran journeymen. Which games you talking about? I know we're talking about like Mendoza in our team, but which ones are you talking about? Rocky Ashton, Moan over Miami. Yes, overusing your running back. I think you're saying maybe. Not sure what you mean by that. Do me a favor, hit me in the chat and clarify a little bit. You're saying yes, over using your running back. You mean like you're over like using them too much? Definitely want to have at least a counter to them. If that's what you mean, then I 100% agree. Like that's what I. Even if we got Genty, I still wanted somebody back there that was going to at least be a decent running back. My biggest example for me was bringing. You can draft Genty. I want a Rico Dowdle. Bring Rico Dowdle in, because then you still have a quality running back that can be serviceable. Still, you can get Genty his 15 to 17 carries a game, maybe run him out of the backfield a couple of times. He'll get his 20 carries, which is great. But then get Rico Dowdle in there to go get 8 to 10 carries. Just do that, because you're already going to be running and leaning on the run game. I wanted Rico Dowdle. That would have been my running back even if we didn't get Genty. I wanted Rico Dowdle from the start. As a free agent. And so, yeah, okay. I think we're on the same page. He gets him hurt. Yes. Raider Bart, it was a joke about Ward. Any good free agent running backs available, or who is a good running back in the draft? A good cowbell. I don't know about the draft, but Rico Dowdle's another free agent. I'd go after him again. Rico Dowdle signed a 1 year with the Panthers. I'd go get him again. I think he's a quality enough back to provide just some competition. And at the same time, give Genty the breather, and you don't fall off too much. So I'd still go after Rico Dowdle, but I got to look at the running back free agents, man. Okay, last one, and then we're going to get to the giveaway. All right, give me 1 second. Here we go. Fernando Mendoza, what do I expect this game against Miami? Here we go. I want to see Fernando, and again, I'd love to see a great game, a competitive game, which would be great, right? See just kind of how Fernando kind of works around that. And it's not that he hasn't done it in the past. He has. But I just want to see more examples of it, because there hasn't been very many. They've had a lot of blowouts. He's done a very good job. Look at the Oregon game. An Oregon game is a very good example of just how he works perfectly in that system, that offensive system. So I want to see Mendoza just work at a structure. I want to see Miami's pass rush kind of move him off of his spot. I want to see how his accuracy, more examples of how he conducts himself as he's moved out of the pocket, when he's moved off of his spot. 50% of the time, his eyes aren't great. He drops his eyes even when it looks like he's going through his progression. I think he's more looking for a running lane. I want to be able to see him keep his eyes more downfield and keep the passing game alive through the process and through his progression. So I want to see Miami kind of move him off his spot. I want to see how he works off of that. I want to see his accuracy on the move. Again, not a whole lot to see of him doing it, but of what we've seen, it's about 50-50. When he moved off his spot, some great throws, some throws that are inaccurate. I think the majority of his interceptions, which there's not a whole lot, but almost all of his interceptions is when he's moved off his spot, when he now has to be able to create. And so, again, it's about 50-50 when he's moved off. Again, I want to see him be able to create outside of the pocket. And I'll be watching his eyes, guys. If Miami can get him on the move, I'm watching his eyes. Also, one thing, if Indiana does a very good job of kind of just taking over this game, if the game starts to look like the Oregon game, one thing, keep a close eye, because we're gonna do a film breakdown of Fernando Mendoza. Keep a close eye on how many, if they blow this game out and they run away with it like they did against Oregon, pay attention to how they get that success. Pay attention to how many just one read timing throws he has, because against Oregon it was a lot. And again, it's a credit to just how well that offense runs. Mendoza takes a lot of credit because of a lot of things that I've said, but there's so many times where that offense is such a well-oiled machine from every single aspect and position group from that offense that Mendoza, he's not asked to do a lot. but what he's asked to do is amazing, and he executes it at a top level. Just pay attention to that. If they run away with this game, just see just how do they run away with it. And do they force Mendoza to just kind of do things that are kind of out of his comfort zone? Because that's what I definitely want to see, because that's what he's going to face in the National Football League. So that's my take. That is it. We got, let's see. Eddie, Krim in the building. What's going on, man? Raiders need a great, even though they have good pieces. Raiders need to be great, even though they're good pieces. I would not feel bad trading with Jets and get Breece Hall too. I like Breece Hall. Even though he's got the injury history, I like Breece Hall. I'm with you. I just don't know, because that's just another situation where you're kind of paying a running back. I think he's still in his rookie contract. I don't want to mess with that. I'd much rather go through free agency where you can get an additional running back to complement Genty. You know what I'm saying? Or draft one in the later rounds. Draft one in the later rounds and really start to build off of that. But look, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of drafting or trading back. But if we do, I'd love for it to be at 2 and get an absolute haul from the Jets. Just absolutely rob the Jets and let's get 4. I'll start at 3. I might be cool at 3, but let's start at 4. All right. So we'll see how it works out. So cool. Let's see. All right. Everybody's in the building. Most of the games the Raiders were close games, 4 to 5 blowouts. There were. But man, those blowouts were nasty though. Not good. Not good at all. Man, I appreciate you. Hey, stick around. Rafa, I see you in the building. What's going on, brother? What's happening, man? Okay. That's the end of it. I have been on for 3.5 hours. How the hell do I sometimes I don't even know if I could stay on for an hour. And again, as you guys can know, I could talk about football. I could talk about the team and everything. And I try to give as much feedback as I can to all y'all. We got 61 in the building. Let me share the screen. We got the giveaway. This is going to be, I believe it's my 16th giveaway since starting my channel in 2023. It's just my way of showing my appreciation to all my subscribers, everybody that has rocked with me since week 3 of the 2023 season. And so typically I kind of do some videos, but normally or lately I've been doing a lot of lives. And this is kind of the best way for me to be able to kind of give back and show my appreciation. Not only am I doing it because I hit 5,500 subscribers on YouTube, but also I like to just do some random giveaways to show my appreciation. I think it was, I did a giveaway just a couple weeks ago. I also did it, I think it was just to end the season, and I did a giveaway a couple weeks before that because I hit a three-leg parlay. And I celebrated hitting the 3-leg parlay, and I want to celebrate with everybody else. We had a little bit of fun. Oh, no. The giveaway was because we got the number 1 overall draft pick. I promised you guys, I think it was a couple weeks before, that if we got the number 1 draft pick, we're all going to celebrate and do a giveaway. And we did. So let me share the screen, and we're going to do it. We're going to have some fun. All right. Let me scroll in just a little bit. Let me see. Okay. Bang. All right. I'm going to hit this. Again, as long as you're a subscriber, as long as you put a comment in the chat, you're going to go ahead and your name will probably pop up. So let me know. If your name pops up, let me know if you're in the building. So I'm going to hit this button. We're going to have some fun. We're going to rock out. Let's go. A lot of people scrolling through. I'm going to pour a little drink while we get through this. Let's see. Troy Gill. Oh, man. And I see you in the building. Troy Gill, man, I don't think you have not been one of my winners. Again, it was my 16th giveaway, and I see you in the building right here, man. Troy Gill. I'm gonna put it in the chat really quick. Hold on. I'm gonna put in the chat really quick. Hold on. Email. I need you to email me at Real Raider. I'm going to type it. Hold up. I need you to email me at realraider805@gmail.com. All right, I just put it inside the chat. email me, and what I'll do is I'll give you the instructions on how to redeem the giveaway. Typically, all I need is just an address that I can ship the giveaway prize to. But Troy, let me know if you're still in here. Let me know. Shout out to you. Shout out to everybody else that's kind of been here. Pigs. Yeah, appreciate it. The 805. Hey, it's rolling. It's rolling. Rocky. Yeah, it's the 16th giveaway. And look, I'm gonna do more. Again, it's just my way. Anything I make on here, I basically just give back to you guys, because you guys have been able to kind of be my outlet from, I played a long time ago, but just coaching the game. And I can't get back into coaching. My wife will kill me. My kids will kill me. But this has allowed me to kind of have that outlet. And I know, actually, it's a funny story, as you guys are still in here. Funny story. And I will put the Troy, I'll put the winner in the comment section of the live after it goes. And so, cool, Troy, do me a favor. Email me at Email me at realraider805@gmail.com. Email me there. I would just put it in the chat, and then I'll send you back the instructions on how to redeem the giveaway, man. It's good. It's good seeing you all win it. I actually know a guy out here in the Vegas area. And when he found out that I was in the area, he reached out to me because I coached against him in Southern California. And when he found out I was here, he's like, hey, man, we need a coach. I'd love to bring you on the staff. And I was like, man, my wife will kill me if I get into coaching. So I can't do it. So I'm doing everything I can to kind of stay away from that, because he'll bug me probably 2 or 3 times a year and be like, are you sure? I'm like, man, I can't do it. And so, yeah, Troy Gill, email me. I put my email in the chat. I'll also pin the email to the live after I'm done. We got Daniel Kim in the building, man. Hey, you were my last winner. I shipped out your giveaway. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you being here. Hey, I appreciate everybody rocking with me tonight. I'm going to get out of here. 3.5 hours. Again, I'm not sure how I do 3.5 hours solo, but, man, it's because you guys definitely rock with me. You guys always shoot questions, comments, feedback, and I love chopping up with you guys. Tap it with me on Sunday. We're going to go live in the Raider War Room with Chris and Severe. We go live on Sundays and Wednesdays. You guys know I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do film breakdown of the free agents and college prospects. We're going to have fun with that. Eddie, you're saying Ophelia, coach 3 sports with all my kids all the way up to high school. Miss it, but my wife will kill me too. Now I have no kids playing and waiting on grandchildren now. Man, hey, shout out to you. I have 3 kids, but they're all girls. I never had someone playing football, but it was just always a passion. Once I was done playing, once I couldn't play anymore, I got into the coaching game. So I coached for 23 years. And so it was time for me to give my wife her time back and just be more involved with my kids as they grow. And my oldest is 20, my youngest is 9, my middle one's 13. So as they got older, I just had to be more just involved. I was extremely involved even when coaching, but, man, just took so much of my time. So appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to go back to the big screen. We're going to get out of here. Hey, do me a massive favor. Double tap that screen before you get out of here. I definitely appreciate it. If you guys can, share the live stream to anybody that you know are Raider fans. I'm trying to do a better job. I've been told I need to get on Instagram. I'm trying to do a better job. It's _805 Raiders. If you want to go out and support that, I dropped shorts as well. Just kind of give you my quick update or a quick take on some of the things that goes on with Raiders. But at the same time, I definitely jump on, try to do a solo live when I can, but tap in with us on Sunday and Wednesday in the Raider War Room, and we're going to rock out. So I appreciate all my subscribers, everybody viewing, all the members, and the Super Chats as well. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy all the NFL games, and we'll see you guys on Sunday night. Appreciate y'all. I appreciate you rocking with me on a Friday. I'm out of here. Peace.